We'll heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat.
Hey everybody, I'm here. I am here. Like and subscribe. Hit it. I'm sorry I was gone so long. The plane left me. I was actually sitting on the plane. It didn't leave me at all. Thank God.
Heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat.
By the way, get ready for another episode of Hal high-fiving himself for being right. Oh, I love it when a plan comes together. All right, let's just jump in. I've kept you guys waiting long enough. Let's just roll straight into it. 3, 2, 1. All right. I try not to gloat right out of the gate too much, but is it ever really too much? Is it ever too much, people? I mean, honestly, it's me. At this point, it's a feature, not a bug. It's one of the things that just kind of comes with the territory. You know that, oh, here we go again. Hal pointing out that we were all worrying about nothing, and he tried to tell us to relax and enjoy our lives, and while you have to stay focused and you got to vote and you got to do your thing, you can't stress. You can't, I don't want to hear any of this like I'm exhausted stuff. You don't have to be. I'm here, people. You don't have to worry. Okay, so what am I talking about besides hello chat room? Let me just say hello chat room. Lovely to see you. How are you? And can I say, last night, it's hard to pick what the highlight of the evening was because the Gritty and Pink ladies were there and they put on an amazing show, and the women that played instruments and sang and others were just incredible, and it was lovely to share a stage with all of them. But I have to say the highlight of the evening for me, besides getting to play guitar and sing on a song, because I rarely get to do that. Most of the time I'm just singing. I'm trying to increase the amount of that, but I've got to apparently convince the folks there that every time I play, they're like, "Oh, you're a good guitar player." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. Just let me play the part." Anyways, so I'm gonna recreate the moment that I thought really brought the evening together. Of the 3 songs that I did, this was the moment that I thought stood out the most. Okay, here it is. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. You gotta close your eyes for me. Thank you. Thank you very much. Because it was such a joy doing Close My Eyes Forever. That last line was kind of, it built up into a big swell, a bubble as it were. It was lovely. So that was it. I am feeling awesome right now, Georgina. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Thank you. And I'm sorry, I'm behind in the chat a little bit. Yeah, it was a good time. Is that an Ozzy Osbourne song? Yes, it was a Lita Ford and Ozzy Osbourne duet. I did duets last night. So since it was all about the women in rock, I shared a stage on the songs that I sang. I did, the duets that I did were, of course, Close My Eyes Forever and It's Only Love, the Bryan Adams, Tina Turner mix, which was lovely. Lauren Ash sang the Tina Turner part on that, and I I did my best, like neck jut, um, Brian Adams kind of. I don't know what it is during that thing, but he's doing this. Like if you watch the video, it just never stops. He's just totally in chicken mode. I don't, is the thing. He's like the Canadian chicken, just like it was amazing if you watch the video of that. So I tried to do my best on that. What happened to Lita Ford? She wasn't there. I mean, she's still performing. I just saw her. Summer and I saw her perform here not too long ago. So we have friends that play in her band now. Yeah. So Lauren Ash sang that part. Yeah. He's the rock and roll pigeon. That works too. But I also tried very hard not to rasp his voice, like try to recreate his singing voice too much because it will steal all the rest of my notes for the evening. Right. So, anyways, love you guys. Let's get into it because I feel like I've left the whole thing behind, and I want to start with a little bit of the Schadenfreude, if I could. This is something that, from a morning standpoint, I should increasingly be doing, but the RNC stuff that's been going on is particularly wonderful to watch. Who'd have thought that the installation of Laura Trump as the campaign chair, as the co-chair, and I guess she's the campaign finance chair, kind of semi-official. I don't even know if they have a fucking organization at this point, is it? But the news just keeps getting better. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you. This is from a New York Times article today. Trump aides taking over RNC order mass layoffs. It is 8 months till the election. It is 8 months away. And they are just firing everybody. And again, part of me, you guys know this, I have notes. I will always have notes. I will always look at a situation like this and go, why? And wouldn't it be better if, right? I think that's my natural reaction. That's your natural reaction. Any sane person would go, that's what a stupid fucking idea. But quite frankly, I don't give a shit. If the DNC was doing it, I would freak out and make a lot of phone calls. But since they're doing it, I'm like, shit, I got a free day. I don't have to make any fucking phone calls. If they're like, my goal is always to rise up the Democrats. I'm not there to tear down Republicans, but it's sort of equidistant at a certain point. If they're going to tear down Republicans, I'm not going to stop them. I can't be more invested in the health and function of your party than you are. What the fuck is that? So I just happen to love this. Okay, but there was a particular part of this article, not quite not quite the third paragraph, but part of this just stood out to me. This part right here. Days after allies took over, fucking relatives, all right. Allies took over the Republican National Committee. Donald J. Trump's advisors are imposing mass layoffs on the party, with more than 60 officials, including senior staff members, laid off or asked to resign and then reapply for their jobs, according to two people familiar with the matter. One second there. Yes, if I may. Laid off or asked to resign and then reapply for their jobs. Now, we all know that the phrase deep state is really just an attempt to sexify bureaucrat. Bureaucrat is what they're talking about, like unelected government officials that have been installed, maybe stay there through multiple administrations, multiple changes in parties, and these bureaucrats tend to exert more control. Kings of small kingdoms, as it were, sitting there their careers outliving the elected officials around them who instigate like a mini fiefdom around whatever segment of the government they are in control of, right? And so bureaucrats, the bureaucratic and everything's got to be in triplicate, not because the elected officials want it, but because the friggin' bureaucrats make them, right? They want to rub, you got to stamp everything and have multiple comments. The bureaucracy, the Gordian knot of bureaucracy. But nobody gives a shit about bureaucracy anymore. Because it just doesn't sound like that macho a term. It sounds like you're whining about nothing. And also there's a certain expectation of most thinking people, adults, know that a certain amount of at least duplicates, like most of us, you can always tell somebody new when they sit at when they get dinner at a restaurant and they're picking up the check for the first time and they see the copy for you, the copy for themselves, and then maybe there's one that doesn't have a signature thing on it at all. You see, it's in triplicate. You know what I'm talking about? When you're sitting in a restaurant and you see the receipt comes in triplicate. There's a version with your signature. There's a version that's a copy with no signature on it. That's the one you keep because it's exactly the one you signed, and you get an unsigned copy of it so you know what you had. And then there's a version that if you want, you can, I guess, keep, and you can, most people, that's for expensing, right? You don't, that doesn't have any of your pay information or your signature area on it. It's just the one you give to your when you expense it to your business or something, or you put it in the file for that, right? It doesn't have to have all that extra fucking paper. Just what it was, what and when, and what you ate, and where it was, and what time of the day, and all that shit, and the amount, right? That's all that matters. So there's 3 of them. That didn't happen. Fucking nobody immediately went, I fucking, I'll give it to you, and you give me a credit card, and you just sign it, and then off it goes. And then somebody gets like, they double their like the tip on it. They turn the 1 into a 7 sometime, and they're like, holy, wait a second, I want a copy of what I got from you exactly, so I can go. I didn't write that. There's not even room for that. I wrote it like this, and so I'm keeping a copy. And my boss wants a copy, but I need one for my taxes, to show that I expensed it. Part of it's for me, and this is the part that goes to the business. I scratch off the part that my boss isn't expected to reimburse me for. That I give to them, and then I paid my own drinks or whatever the shit. So that all happened over time. It evolved, to use a word that irritates Kirk Cameron. And there's a certain level of bureaucracy to that to that exchange that has happened because of people being thieving assholes or forgetful, or somebody asks you for a copy of something and you just don't have it, and it happens enough where they make a copy, and it's always part of it, and it just happens, right? That's, yeah. So it all works its way out over time. And so most of the Republican Party seem like the assholes, like, why is there 3 copies? Can I just sign one? And it's you're like, dude, you're going to want a copy of what you actually signed in case something goes wonky. And, and the first time it doesn't, and you should have, right? That's got it. And then the other one, when you go, oh, my boss needs a copy of this, whatever, that thing. All right. They're all they seem to be fucking new. But what they complain about all the time is the bureaucracy. Oh my God, in business, there's bureaucracy. Everywhere you look, there's fucking bureaucracy. There's the deep state wants you to blah, 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 right? And then once they get a hold of the RNC, what do? They do the most, like, wasteful, boorish, ridiculous way of handling HR. They lay them off. Whatever. That's fine. Fire them. I thought the whole laid off. Fuck off. Aren't they the you're fired family, right? Isn't that Trump's whole fucking thing? You're fired, right? So fucking fire everybody and hire the geniuses right? That seems like logically what you would do if you were anywhere close to what this asshole has been selling everyone for years, right? But they lay him off, or ask to resign and then reapply for their job. So we might rehire you, but we got to remember why you were here in the first place. Sell yourself to us, big guy. What a waste of fucking time. If they're worth keeping, you'd know. In theory, right? And if they're not worth keeping, you'd know. In theory. So why the fuck are you asking them to reapply? You don't know. Here's a good idea. How about Laura go through everybody, do interviews with everyone, review everyone, and lay them off based on it. Just go, I met with everybody in the senior staff, like 120 people, and as I went through them, we just kind of went yes, no, yes, no. We had a yes and a no pile, and we just kind of kicked people to the curb if they weren't sufficiently ready. I'll tell you why they didn't do it. I'll tell you why. Because the whole you're fired bullshit is a lie. Because they're all cowards. And they don't even have the guts to fire these people directly. They lay them off. Maybe it'll come back later. It's just a money thing. We're not raising the kind of money we need, considering most of the money's going into Trump's fucking gullet. And they don't have the nerve to just fire people straight ahead because it's bullshit. He's full of shit. She's full of shit. Even the people that are loyal to Trump that are supposed to be his mouthpieces, he can't go fire that person and they go, you're fired, and that's that. It's so fucking weak. It's really bizarre. Okay, so next thing that I particularly liked. So the TikTok bill passed the House today. So it's a divestment bill. They have to the Chinese company ByteDance that owns it has to sell it to another company that's not linked to the Chinese party, or it's going to be banned in the States. Now, whether it'll pass the Senate, I think it will, but the Senate, Biden has already said he will sign it if it comes to his desk. And I'm for it, and it's very smart. And everybody, like the fucking ridiculous people who are like, all these poor people, if it wasn't for TikTok, they wouldn't even have a job. I'm like, motherfucker, okay, look, I stream on every possible platform in case one of them goes down. So the idea that you're even talking somebody into putting all their eggs in one technological basket is fucking dumb. So, meanwhile, Trump originally tried to ban TikTok, if you'll recall. You guys remember this? He was all up in it. And then all of a sudden, he wasn't. And now Biden's ready to sign this bill if it gets to his desk, and Trump all of a sudden is fighting it. Super fucking weird. Why would that be? Like, why? What? After all this China virus bullshit, and you can't try, and China's our biggest enemy, and Biden's owned by the Chinese and all that shit, you would think he would look forward to the chance to cut into any of China's bottom line, or at least not want to look like he's running interference for them. That would be yes. Okay. Washington Post article from yesterday. Trump's growing antipathy towards Zuckerberg, and this is what they write it off as well as advocacy and lobbying from several former administration campaign officials tied to a GOP billionaire with a big financial stake in TikTok parent company ByteDance. Yeah. Helps illuminate the former president's position on the video sharing app. Yeah, let's look at that part again. This bit. Hold on, I gotta shrink this in a little bit. I'm gonna bring this guy in. Yeah, there we go. A little better. There you go. Yeah. Officials tied to a GOP billionaire with a big financial stake in TikTok parent company ByteDance. Really? Also, by the way, the guy who, the lobbyist who works with them, and Kellyanne Conway's been lobbying on behalf of ByteDance, and she's the one, and like, didn't he fucking hate her at one point? And she's one of the people who convinced him to do this, like to back it and say that, oh, there's a lot of people, you're gonna alienate a bunch of, it's fucking malware. Get TikTok off your phone. It's a terrible idea. Switch to another thing. Go to YouTube Shorts or Reels or Instagram or fucking Snapchat. It's an American company. It's available on the stock exchange. It's basically the same thing. Fuck, somebody bring back Vine for God's sakes. Again, TikTok's not even fucking original. And it's always on. Even when you tell it not to listen, not to use your camera like, it does. Like, get it off your phone. Yeah, I've been talking about this till I'm fucking blue in the face. And finally, it's coming to a vote. Right? Yeah, remember everybody loved Vine, and then it got sorry, yeah, Kellyanne X Conway. Good point. Excellent point. Sorry, chat room. It's true. But she literally lobbied him and said, you got a lot of your users will use this, and they love you on there. Just total fucking ego blow that they're throwing his way. Like, oh, a lot of your supporters are on there, and they talk a lot about how much they love you on TikTok. And like, then they'll go someplace else. What do you think? The fucking feelings are site specific? The only reason you would want that on TikTok is because the algorithm would favor you. That's what that means. That's what her argument means. It's what that GOP billionaire who's pushing it means. All right. So, regardless, the anti-TikTok bill passed today, 352 to 65. And there was a mix of, a few Republicans because Trump told them to vote against it, and a bunch of Democrats who, I got to say, I don't know what the fuck they're thinking. Anybody, by the way, any Democrat who was outside with groups of people going, my constituents love and use this, and they wouldn't have any other way of making a living online if it wasn't for is bullshit. There's dozens of outlets. They're all monetizable. It's nonsense. Anybody who says that is the most that's the most egregious example of direct payments to as far as lobbying that I've ever seen. Ugh. All right. Now, the idea is that Trump's big fear is that Zuckerberg, who he calls Zuckerbucks, which is again an anti-Semitic slur that Mike Pillow uses. He's talking about what if Facebook buys TikTok? Okay, first of all, they don't need to buy TikTok, and if they bought TikTok, they would just fold the users into Reels, and that would be that. It's the same shit. There's no value point other than the user base that they would kind of usurp, right? But it's still not going to be the same. The system itself, the manufactured algorithm is the problem, right? So this is pretty hysterical considering. According to the Washington Post, Trump asked Elon Musk if he wanted to buy Truth Social last summer. The idea went nowhere. That's chapter 3 of Art of the Deal, though. Your best ideas will go nowhere. But the former president and the billionaire ex-owner have continued to communicate more than was previously known, which is just him asking. It's funny. He's like, I'm not going to contribute to either campaign. Was the storyline? Right. That was Elon Musk coming out and saying he's not going to donate to either. That doesn't mean he's not going to loan Trump money for his legal bills. Have you checked into Truth SPAC? Yes, the special acquisition company. We've talked about that a bunch. But again, he has to be bought out of this or buy his way out of it, or he won't be able to post on other sites during the campaign personally. That's the other thing. This dumb motherfucker, if you don't believe he was, one of the reasons why I thought he wasn't running for real before he got noticed the indictments were coming, and that's why he decided to run. One of the reasons I knew that was originally his plan was because he corralled himself on Truth Social instead of just going everywhere else that would have him and then fighting his way back to being on Facebook or Twitter later. He just went, okay, I don't need you guys. I'm taking my ball and going home. And home meant to this rando, low-res version of Parler run on the Mastodon structure, which he didn't pay for initially. It still isn't. Okay, that's why it's called Truth Social. If you'll notice all the Mastodon sites, a lot of them will be something .social. That's why it was called Truth Social, because they built it on the Mastodon architecture. It was a social platform, and the original name of it was Truth.social. It was going to be Trump.social, and then I guess somebody had already taken that and made a fucking Reddit thread out of it. But either way, the money's not coming. Now, meanwhile, and then I'll get to our clips tonight. Let me shape up, and this is I gotta say, I'm gonna slide right into this next little piece of info because I just found it so wonderful and so in line with exactly what I've been telling you folks. This is this piece that this little detail. Haley, after she dropped out, got 77,000 votes in Georgia in the primary. 20,000 of those she got on election day, on the day of the primary, by people who were voting on the day of the primary, after she had dropped out. 20,000 people voted for Haley, even though she was no longer in the race, after she had dropped out, 20,000. Trump lost Georgia last time by 12,000 votes. Do you understand? Add that little chunk up, kids. Let me tell you something. The whole, like, the polls have him way ahead, the polls were, shut the front door. Nonsense. Yeah, 11,780. Exactly. Rounding it up just for shits and giggles. Those 77,000 people decided a while back. They knew by the time this was, coming around, even in the early voting in the Georgia primary, that more than likely she was not going to be the nominee. He was ahead. So they still voted for her, even beyond the 20K that did it as a fuck you on election day. The other 57,000 people that voted for Nikki Haley, a good portion of them voted as a protest vote to tell him to take a shit and go someplace else and, like, never want to see you again. At those folks, this is probably at least 30 to 50% of them that are not going to vote for him. On top of that, I would argue that nearly everyone, if not all of them, plus of that 20K on election day, because you got to consider the people who didn't vote at all because the numbers are way down in the Republican primaries, because those are people who are like, they're so disconnected from it, they're like not even going to bother to tell him to go fuck himself. They're just like not going to show up on the day. But these are 20,000 people who got up on that day, went to a polling place to participate in a primary to tell Donald Trump to kiss their ass. Yes, she had already dropped out at this point. But I would argue again that when these folks voted, it was kind of understood she wasn't going to beat him. She was, it would be a way outside the realm of possibility, but they still did it. And again, he only lost Georgia by 12K last time. If half of these people don't vote for Trump this time around, or even Biden, just sit out, he's done. That's Georgia. And there's every reason to expect that everybody who voted for Nikki Haley, the entirety of them, right? The 57,000, the others aren't going to vote for him either. Yeah. That triples the distance between him and Biden from last time. And that's consistent everywhere. Just saying. And so to anybody who doubted me about this, I appreciate you. I see you. But I also want you to be aware that I don't say these things lightly. I do not just roll in and say this stuff just to hear myself talk. I'm telling you that I'm reading the actual reality. There you go. Can I see you through those glasses? Yes, I can. You betcha I can. You know I can. But I don't need them. But maybe I do. All right. So, now, one last note before we go. The DNI, the Department of National Intelligence, finally admitted that I am right. After all this time, the annual threat assessment of the U.S. intelligence community came out, and they cover everything over a myriad of things: China, Russia, Iran, North Korea conflicts and fragility, the Gaza conflict, all this stuff. But I want to go down here to the China part. And this would be the part that stands out the most, if I may. This little piece right here. And it says, during the next few years, China's economy will slow because of structural barriers and Beijing's unwillingness to take aggressive stimulus measures to boost economic growth. Beijing understands its problem, but is avoiding reforms at odds with Xi's prioritization of state-directed investment in manufacturing and industry. A slower Chinese economy probably would depress commodity prices worldwide. That means that they don't need steel. Steel prices will go down because not that many people need steel, and so steel will be cheap. So countries that are, I don't know, in the middle of like an infrastructure bill that's being implemented will find it easier to buy um, the materials on the world market that you would need. Just the timing is kind of cool. I just wanted to say that. Worldwide erode export competitiveness of countries that directly compete against China and slow global growth. Now, that's the erode export competitiveness of countries that directly compete against China, is because they're going to be selling stuff at bargain basement prices. So anybody that's trying to get a living wage for their goods is going to be ice skating uphill against the cheap shit that they're throwing onto the market to just try and get it out the door. And then he goes, but it is unlikely to curtail Beijing spending on state priorities, which is largely, I honestly, I don't know. The only thing, they literally did a big like surveillance spend. That was their big infrastructure. That literally, when we think of infrastructure, we're like roads, bridges, trains, airports, shit like that. When they did a big infrastructure spend, I broke it down last year. They put a bunch of money in because they thought this would, when they first tried to goose the economy last spring. Remember that? They put in this thing, and what was the infrastructure? Fucking cameras on every signpost. Cameras at every intersection. Hold on. Kelly says TikTok should remain. I can't believe with all the shit there's where TikTok is made priority. With the millions who have TikTok like I do, there's no way we're going to give it up. Yeah, you will, Catherine. And also, it's malware. It traces you. It has access to everything on your phone all the time. You can't turn it off. That's the problem. And there are like at least 6 other pieces of software that do the exact same fucking thing. And unless you're in the upper 10% of people producing shit on TikTok, you're not making money off of it. Good Lord, go get Snapchat and shut the fuck up. Like, it's silly. It's silly. And the only person who would argue that is somebody who, and if you do argue that, I certainly don't want to hear anything about Biden being beholden to the fucking Chinese. Like, I don't want to hear any of that shit. Please. If anybody who has TikTok on their phone or argues for TikTok, like, I don't want to hear anything about, that China money. Like, because you put your money where your mouth is. I got news for you. I very well, again, 我会说中文. I speak Chinese. If I wanted to, I could build a huge thing on TikTok. Right? If I wanted to, I'm not going to. That's dirty money to me. Not going to do it. So, and again, I could be in the upper 10% of the people producing on TikTok. It's not even that hard. You just have to put out as much stuff as I do on the site, like live stream to it. Yeah. And I would make something off of it, but I'm not going to do it because I don't want to be there. I don't want that money, and I don't want anybody who watches me to go there, right? I don't want to be responsible for attracting anybody to that platform. Thank you, Jessica. Right? TikTok is not banned in China. There is another version of it in China that is heavily redacted and curtailed by the government. None of the stuff that you can see on TikTok, like the chuds of TikTok and the libs of TikTok and all the craziness and like the people like selling the pros of cutting shit, like all the crazy bullshit that's on TikTok. None of that is allowed in China by the government and by ByteDance, the company that owns it in China. You know why? Because they know what it's for. It's meant to like make societies fight against each other. It's meant to gin up conflict. It's meant to make people feel exhausted and sad and anxious and depressed and fearful. That's what it's fucking for. And I would argue, by the way, libs of TikTok is as much a sales point for TikTok as anything else. because Libs of TikTok, she has that account. She shows accounts that are on there that draw attention in this particular way, and she guides people's eyeballs and makes them, that a lot of the people that follow her have an account on TikTok because of that account. It is in and of itself TikTok propaganda. Other than that, I have no opinion. So, but either way, I was I'm just saying, right again. There's a bunch of stuff in there about, that largely the Chinese military is building stuff up because they think they have to catch up to the United States. The part I found the most fucked up about the de-icing, here, I'll show it to you real quick, and we'll move on. And maybe it's just because I'm in space currently that it touches me in a specific way. China remains committed to becoming a world-class space leader and continues to demonstrate its growing prowess by deploying increasingly capable space systems and working towards ambitious scientific feats. Now, I have to say, the ambitious scientific feats part, I don't really have a problem with as long as they're for peaceful purposes. There's all kinds of shit, we can benefit from studies made in space and experiments in space and experiments in low Earth orbit and all that shit. Great. That ain't what they're doing, though. Space-based intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, ISR, as well as position navigation and timing and satellite communications are areas the PLA continues to improve upon to close the perceived gap between itself and the U.S. military. And that's the important part. The perceived gap. They are in a paranoia doom spiral, much like the Soviet Union was, or even you could argue we were during the Cold War, that we were chasing a lot of what the Soviet Union was doing or what we believed they were doing. And I would argue that a lot of the shit that you heard about us faking our space program was from them because they were faking large parts of their space program, which we found out after after 91. In early 2023, China's Manned Space Agency announced its intention to land astronauts on the moon around 2030 and is engaging countries to join its Lunar Research Station effort as part of its broader attempt to develop an alternative bloc to the U.S.-led Artemis Accords. Now, there is no reason for it. Unless you want a military station on the fucking moon, there is no reason to buck the Artemis Accords and not do it with everybody else. That's the fucking point. The point of the Artemis Accords is neutrality on the moon, is strictly science, like treating it like a national park for the world. Nobody gets to put a fucking military base on. Nobody does it. And China's like, well, I mean, somebody's gotta. That's their problem. All right. The other thing, China's commercial space sector is growing quickly and is on pace to become a major global competitor by 2030. For example, China is developing its own low Earth orbit satellite internet service to compete with Western commercial satellite internet services. Now, that's not true. What they're developing, their low Earth orbit satellite internet service, is for their own internal satellite service around their country to basically create an internet dome over the country to isolate themselves. South China Sea, China. Hold on, somebody back up. Wayne's saying China bothering shipping with cannon water and threatening down there. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's another aspect of it too. Them claiming areas that because it's called the South China Seas that it really is the South China Seas instead of just it's on a map written that way, right? It's like saying that's the equivalent if. Like North America, South America, and Central America are called the Americas. And can you imagine a situation where America just goes, yeah, it says America, South America. That's the South of America. That's us. We own that. Get the fuck out. Like we literally went through there with like bulldozers pushing everybody out of South America going, it says America on the fucking map, dude. Like that's what they're taking as ownership. Is it says South China Seas. We're China. That's south of us. It's ours. Fucking stupid. Yeah, Chinese ghost cities on the moon. The other one is counter space operations will be integral to potential PLA military campaigns, and China has counter space program capabilities intended to target U.S. and allied satellites. China already has fielded ground-based counter space capabilities, including electronic warfare systems, directed energy weapons, laser beams, and anti-satellite ASAT missiles intended to disrupt, damage, and destroy target satellites. This is the most fucked up part of it. This is like the shrug off. What? directed energy weapons, anti-satellite missiles, and electronic warfare capabilities in fucking space. Already. They already have it. Yeah. Now, here's the biggest problem I have with this. Okay, China's also conducted orbital technology demonstrations, which, while not counter-space weapons tests, prove China's ability to operate future space-based counter-space weapons. Yeah, it's the same thing as the fucking North Koreans launching trash cans into the sky and calling them nuclear missiles and saying they're totally going to land perfectly and they're totally going to go off like we say where they're going to go off and all that. No. You cannot, and I believe the China Show guys are very right about this, and they believe this as well. You cannot be a developing country if you have a space program. Okay? If you have given up on the impoverished people in your country entirely, to the tune of there are more people living below the world poverty line in China right now than there are human beings in the United States, including the illegals. Everybody. There are 400 million plus people in China living on $400 a month or less. There are more people impoverished in China than the entire population of the United States. Just sit with that. Every time you hear, do they have an astronaut program? Yes, they do. They don't like they go up in the Soyuz, and they go up. We've sent Chinese astronauts up in our system. They had their own space station. It dropped into a degrading orbit and burned up and dropped fucking debris all over everyone. But they're still working on it. They've done more in terms of propaganda than they have actually building up their space, their actual program. And if you don't believe me, look at Interstellar and the Martian, for fuck's sake. Oh my God, the bullshit in The Martian. Like, oh no, our rocket full of stuff, nobody thought to balance it, so it blew up in the sky. Luckily, the Chinese have an even better rocket that they weren't telling anybody about, and it works perfectly, and we can send that up. But first of all, were they looking ahead that we're going to be that Soyuz would not be a possibility, that the Russian system, that the launch site in Kazakhstan would be off limits for some fucking reason? Secondarily, the Indians are working on their own space program. Whenever the fucking Martian is set in the future, you don't think they'd get there by that point? Anyways, I'll get all wrapped up in this. This could be a whole rant for the whole show if I'm not careful. But let me just say that every time they talk about the Chinese space program, I want you to remember they are a developing nation, and that they are considered like that by the IMF and the World Bank, and they get special dispensation on a myriad of things, and that I have to say, they do not deserve. Now, speaking of not deserving something, can we get to the ridiculous? Maybe jump straight to the ridiculous. Chat room, I love you guys. How are you? It's hard to pick what is the most ridiculous thing. But I gotta say, anything that says Lauren Boebert and special announcement, I gotta say, I'm there. It's gotta be good. It's gotta, and I know what you're thinking, Hal. It's not gonna be that great. It's probably just gonna be like her, in a little podcasting studio with a stupid backdrop and like one plant trying to wears like her best sort of newscaster outfit to holy shit. Yeah, you're you're exactly right. She knows she's gonna lose, so she is looking forward to the next chapter in her career. Okay. And so Lauren Boebert has a special announcement, and it should come as no surprise that she is going to be, I suppose, like moronic eye candy. That's a good picture, though. I do think that's a good freeze frame. That's a keeper. I guess I would keep that. Yeah, it's good stuff. Am I doing it right? It's weird. She keeps looking like that. She could look like Kimberly Guilfoyle. Yeah. So she's apparently. I don't know if this is. I have not watched this. I'm not gonna watch it without you. I'm not gonna do this to myself fucking twice. And it's not an OnlyFans because it's on Rumble. So this is, and we won't watch all of it. I don't think we could stand it. But it is a special announcement on what her future might be. So here we go.
We're just doing a test run, so this will be kind of a shorter one, but in the future, I expect to bring on guests and have you engage with them as well, so you could hear directly from other members of Congress.
Oh, fabulous. It's gonna, so if I'm to understand this, is this sort of a, what's the word for it? A podcast kind of, I mean, I hear the kids are like nobody really has one, and it's, only the elite of the elite get to have one. And I think, usually most people think of it as something that like some asshole comedian does, or somebody who runs for office and then fail. Oh, sorry.
Men and women who are fighting each and every day for you, who are principled, who actually govern like they campaign. What a concept.
Oh, you mean did they campaign to not actually accomplish anything and to just basically like complain all the time?
And, this is just a way for you to connect with representatives throughout the United States.
I can actually call my representatives, right? I can write letters and stuff. I can actually vote too. It's a great way to connect with your elected representatives, is to participate in the process by which they are elected, or in deference to you, young lady, not.
You can't vote for all of them, but when they're in Washington, D.C., like it or not, we are voting for you.
Not.
There are some who don't vote in your best interests each and
Yeah, they're called the Freedom Caucus. I'm aware.
every day, but I like to surround myself with the firebrands, with the freedom fighters.
The feet worshipers, the firebrands. You mean just say fucking Matt Gaetz, or can you not say him because he's as skeevy as your ex?
And my colleagues in the Freedom Caucus who
don't include are like down a player, right? Didn't they lose one person? Didn't they kick one of the fuckers to the curb this week? Hold on, I gotta look it up. I think it was on like weren't they jettisoning people? Yeah, I'll find it, but yeah, they like, I guess they called him into the office and told him don't come back. Let's see. I'll end up okay. Because like Ken Buck's dropping out, that's different. But it was another one. I'll figure out who it is. Does anybody know who it was? Yeah. Bo Burnt. Hold on one second. Let's see. Freedom Caucus member. Right, you have Freedom Caucus members look to cement U.S. Oh yeah, here it is. Randy Weber got kicked out. Who is like, I think it's weird because I couldn't tell whether it was like because he was Trumpy or because he wasn't. Okay. So burp. Where we go? Randy Weber, Republican of Friendswood, is that like the village where everyone has a friend with benefits? Was kicked out of the hard right Freedom Caucus last week during a one-on-one with Bob Good. He requested Weber to address his sparse attendance to weekly meetings members are expected to attend. First reported by Politico, Weber said Good asked him if he had lost interest in the caucus. The Texas Republican said it wasn't lack of interest, it's a dislike for the burn the house down procedural tactics the rightmost flank has come to be known for. In response, Weber said Good told him he'd need to reapply for admission back into the caucus. Again, this is his whole like bureaucracy for bureaucracy. Just tell him he's not fucking welcome. If you don't like it, fuck off. It's the Freedom Caucus. Like, what do you mean reapply? So they can re-vote on you? Jesus. Say you're fired. Aren't they the party of Trump? Jesus. It was a shock because I've disagreed with some of the Freedom Caucus chairs, but I've never had them tell me you need to get out of the Freedom Caucus. Good did not respond to a request for comment. Weber said he still hadn't decided whether to reapply. I'm going to wait, give it some time, and see. That's a no. Weber was a Freedom Caucus member for nearly a decade. He said he's seen the group shift from being party rabble-rousers to playing a major hand in holding up budget fights and forcing unprecedented speaker election next year. The rightmost flank holds more weight now given House Republicans' razor-thin majority. By the way, does anybody else find it fucking weird that there's a rightmost flank to the Freedom Caucus? Like, Jesus, how right-wing do you have to be in it in the first fucking place? That's how divided the Republicans are, that there's a split in the fucking loonies? Seriously. Like, there are some crazies too crazy for the other crazies? Whatever. The rightmost flank holds more weight now, blah, blah, blah. Weber said Good had been checking in with caucus members who had missed previous weekly meetings, but Weber is the only known member to have been removed altogether. Weber said he had no interaction with Bob Good beyond the Freedom Caucus weekly meetings until he was called into his office. Weber said he believes Good had an agenda and removed him from the caucus unilaterally. Right. Which he did. Sure. What was your first clue? That he asked you to leave and told you you'd have to rejoin? Yeah, splitters. Are they? Yes, is this the Freedom Caucus or the People's Freedom Caucus? That's the People's Freedom Caucus over there. Splitter! Weber said he believes it. He said the clash over the strategy with Good and perhaps some bad blood left from the presidential Republican primary. Weber is a staunch supporter of President Donald Trump. And Good initially supported Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, led the caucus chair to single him out. Wait, what? Hold on. Weber is the Trumpy who thinks that the right flank of the caucus has gone too far and is ineffective because they're basically like calamitous burn the house down types. And Good is part of that, but was for DeSantis and still has leftover like burn over DeSantis with this is so fucking weird. I have no it can't be just me, right? Please. Chat room, can anybody explain to me that fucking overlap? That's bizarre. It's fucking bizarre. Yeah, how right-wing can you be before you fall off the edge of the flat earth? Yeah, well, I mean, let's understand there are no edges to the flat earth. You just reach the outer realm and then you have to fight past the black helicopters to what's really heaven, and that's over the mountains. Do I have to tell everybody how flat earth works every time? We've dealt with like the hyper left crowd who want to burn it all down, the TYT types and some of the the sort of squad adjacent folks that are like that. But this just makes no fucking sense. Like the infighting that you don't go far enough in the theory, but you go too far in support of Trump, but not far enough in support of his political will. It's just odd. Like, that's just so fucking strange. Anyways, they lost one, and then Ken Buck is stepping down into the month, which will make it way harder for this dipshit to get elected.
Stand for your values each and every day. We stand up to the uniparty, the establishment, to lead.
Okay, first of all, every time I pause, you can't really tell, but we're getting some really like Fox News kind of angle on this. You can see her knee. She's wearing a relatively short skirt, and she's wearing, like, whoever's filming this for her, she's sitting there. There's no table in front of her desk. You just see in the top of her naked knee, and it's fine. Again, I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum, wherever the fuck you want. But don't lecture me on family fucking values and then, you know, go all Fox and Friends. Like, dead center, sitting there with your knee showing, letting everybody know that's watching you're wearing a short skirt and that you might basic instinct at some point.
Leadership.
Wait.
We aren't moved by attack ads. We aren't moved by the persuasion campaigns that they try to force us to submit to.
Yeah, you are. You're going to be moved right out of your fucking seat. You were already moved out of your goddamn district where you were going to lose to a Democrat.
We are moved by policy and what is best for you.
Which apparently is no policy because you voted against the Infrastructure Act. I don't know why. You know that none of them have been able to explain that.
American people. So thank you all so much for joining me today. And if you want to do more of these in the future,
what we're all taking turns. If you want to do more of these, no. It's your fucking show, lady. I already have a show. I'm not doing. What kind of commie bullshit is this? Also, can I just say, could you just be lamer with the fucking Rumble brick right here and the Rumble mug just off camera? Can you at least fucking pretend that this isn't just a right-wing media money grift?
let me know. I want to hear your feedback on this. And I want
Okay. How about that? Is that direct enough?
to give you the link to donate on the Rumble site. This is a brand new feature that.
Man, that didn't take long. 1 minute and 27 seconds. Well, young lady, I think you could teach me a thing or two because it takes me forever to tell everybody to support the show and even to just subscribe, and that's free. But meanwhile, 1 minute 27 seconds in, she's like, hit the donate button. Yeah, I got a grandkid.
We are testing out. Look, it's campaign season.
What do you mean we're testing out? Who the fuck is we? Rumble is testing? We're not doing the whole thing, Dana. Don't worry.
We are in an election year.
Really? Gosh. Well, I guess it would be a bad time to fire everybody at the RNC, right?
And I have a very aggressive primary that we are certainly going to talk about because guess what?
What?
The Uniparty stepped in and tried to rig an election. So we are
What? Rig an election? How? By having someone run against you that's more popular? Can I just say that for the record, all this being ridiculous aside, that if you want an example of quote unquote a uniparty setup, it's where you have safe districts where somebody runs, they guarantee who's going to run against you. Wasn't that the complaint about the DNC and fucking super delegates and all that kind of shit internally? Like, on their own, parties have an agenda. They have a platform that they want to do. People want to, like, either carve off a slice of that or wedge themselves in the middle or take over it. That's going to take work because it might surprise you that the word established will be used to describe it. But people established a party for a particular set of like political goals they would like to see met. And if somebody comes along and is just like, you know what, you mind if I finish that? Like, it's like they just walk up while you're in your mid-meal and you're like, I'm on a specific diet trying to help my buddy. Like, yeah, let me have these. Like, that's what she lived on that. She counted on that. Uniparty. How do you rig an election? How do you say the uniparty when a Democrat's kicking your ass in an area that you won? Barely.
definitely going to talk about that. But if you want more updates from me, text.
Nah, I really don't.
The word freedom to 8030.
It's spelled FRE with a line over the top of it. You could do that by holding down the key until the options come up and use that. And then DUMB. B. There's two B's for Bobes.
6. That's freedom to 80306.
Dabadaga.
After all, that's what we're here for.
Money, donations, a contribution in kind by Rumble.
We're here for freedom. My number one job is to secure your rights and
to grope your date, no matter how many children are in the theater. If you want to get a little cock time, you should be able to do it no matter what show you're there to see, whether it's fucking The Wiggles or it's fucking the dirtiest Cirque show that they have, which is still pretty tame.
Keep you free. Everything
free from the constraints of your zipper
falls under that directive. So
the prime directive.
So we have a lot of legislative work that's going on. We're gonna get into that. But
no doubt.
One thing that happened really recently that I am so honored.
Did she just one cheek sneak us? I mean, it was bad enough. Minute and a half she's into asking for donations, and then she fucking one cheek sneaks us. Look at this. Watch a replay.
So we have a lot of legislative work that's going on. We're gonna get into that. But one thing that happened really recently that I am so honored to have received.
See, look at that. I didn't hear it the first time. Yeah, it was probably the chair, probably just the leather chair. It's so hard to like recreate that sound.
Is the complete and total endorsement from President Donald J. Trump. I am so honored to have his support. He has been an ally and a friend since before I arrived in Congress.
When I was still just one of Epstein's girls.
He is an amazing America First man. And, you know,
an amazing America First man. And by America First, she means that's the first chip that he throws on the table when he's playing cards. It's like, that's the first thing he's willing to give up. America first.
So he used to have a really nice life.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He was on his third wife. His show was being canceled. He was the laughing stock of New York.
He put it all on the line for you, for me, for us.
No, he didn't. He was counting on the American people and the fact that he was president to salvage him from the stack of problems he'd created in his wake.
America. He's a businessman. He's a family man.
Look, okay, having 3 wives doesn't make you a family man. You don't get triple the credit because you have 3 wives and kids with all of them. That's not, and also, for the record, there is no such thing as a, quote, family man who buries his kid's mother on a golf course. You fucking clown. I gotta say, if anything takes a sledgehammer to the concept of family values, it's burying your ex-wife, the mother of your adult children, on a fucking golf course with no headstone. There's not a fucking statue to her, so everybody who goes by knows what a great mom she was. Not a fucking little mausoleum piece that holds her fucking ashes, so there's a point of respect. He buried her in the fucking dirt, and you can't even see the marker until you're standing on it with one of your fucking golf cleats. Get out of here.
He is an America First man. Right now, we are in an election where you have.
By the way, great video so far, high quality. Kudos, Rumble, on the choppy video.
A choice. The 2 candidates on the president.
Actually, you know what? Somebody probably tipped someone at Rumble to jag up her feed just so it would freeze frame on her going probably Bongholio.
Presidential election, Donald J. Trump and Joe Biden.
Come on, Bobes. Let your body move to the music. Shitty bandwidth. Come on, Bobes. Sorry.
Well, you've lived under both of those administrations.
Hey, for the record, I have those problems, but I do this from my fucking office in the downstairs of my house. Like, that's my way of saying basement, but it's not a basement because it's ground level. But you know what I'm talking about. They would call it a basement. I would not. But just for the record, I have those issues, but I'm not at the fucking Rumble Studios next door to their fucking servers. Because this is not. Let's look. This is not.
He's a businessman. He's a family man.
Yeah, this is not a playback issue on my end. This is what she put out. Sorry, I didn't mean to have her on screen and then say put out. I didn't mean to say she put out when with Bobes on. That's uncalled for. I think it's wrong. Sorry.
He is an America first man. Right now, we are in an election where you have a choice. The two candidates on the presidential election, Donald J. Trump and
so she's going to do the real news.
And Joe Biden. Well, you've lived under both of those administrations. So which one was your life better under?
Clearly, Joe Biden. Clearly. I mean, let's just go for minority unemployment. It's actually moving closer to the standard unemployment figure, whereas it was in a stasis in parallel all during Trump. So the narrowing of the gap means that we're moving towards a more equitable job base in the country. That's a good thing. So even though as a pasty white Scottish, Irish, and English fucker, there's a lot of ne'er-do-wells rolling through different villages deciding whose wife was theirs in my family's deep history, let me tell you. A lot of prima nocta, unfortunately, in my background. And even with that wouldn't benefit me directly, but as an American, it benefits me greatly because again, America is the only country in the world where it doesn't show up on anybody's 23andMe. That's a beautiful thing. And nor should... Oh, Templeton. Merci beaucoup, Dorian. Thank you for the super chat. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Lovely. Great to see you back on Air, Hal. Happy Hump Day. Thank you, Templeton. Fair is a veritable smorgasbord. All right. So, bless you. And thanks everybody for the support today, by the way. You see this little thing that goes by right over here? Thanks for the likes and the Ramona. Thank you for the support. Just said support. Thanks for the gifted subs, Kitty K. Lovely. Appreciate applause to the lovely people. And I hope you appreciate that I made it kind of like three-dimensionally. Never mind. I tinker. That's what I do.
Under which administration was the border more secure? Were you...
Well, Biden's deporting more people than Trump did. But for COVID, Trump's numbers would have looked exactly like Biden's as far as people interacting at the border. Also, we're stopping more fentanyl now than we ever did. So obviously, a bunch of it got through. Otherwise, what the fuck was killing that 100,000 people that happened in the last year of Trump? Seized being the thing. Thank you, Barbara.
Not...
This is good. It's high quality stuff. Is Bongholio personally
afraid.
Running this broadcast? It seems like it is. Yeah. Just see him in the back going, just wires.
Of illegals coming into your community and killing your loved ones.
Yeah, it happens. You know, now we're so used to it. You know, that's what's happening. Just everywhere you look. I don't know anybody who hasn't been killed by an illegal. And, we're all just waiting our turn.
Which administration had the border secure? And
well, obviously not the dude who built a fucking wall. That made it worse. Again, border under Obama, better than it was under Trump. Border under Biden, stopping more fentanyl than under Trump. The only problem seems to be the wall. How
And
about Carl Frischow winning Bobo's seat? He's not. He's in D.C. He's in that district. I like Carl, but he's not going to move to Colorado for that. And there's already a good Democrat running against.
he
Running
had
for that seat.
a grasp on human trafficking. And
Yeah, you bet your ass he did. If he ever didn't understand it, he could always call Matt Gaetz personally. He had a grasp on human trafficking. Of course he fucking had a grasp on human trafficking. He had Jeffrey Epstein on speed dial, you dizzy fuck. What? Donald Trump, every home he owns was within a 10-minute cab ride of a home that Jeffrey Epstein owned. What the fuck?
And Colorado wasn't in the top 5 states for human trafficking in America. And Colorado wasn't number 2 for fentanyl overdoses, fentanyl poisoning. Well, that's President Trump's administration. And Joe Biden, with the stroke of his pen, opened up our southern borders and allowed this invasion.
Wait, hold on. Colorado is number 2 that quickly? Okay, let's just take it at face value. Now, this is bullshit, clearly. But let's just take it at face value. What you're saying is true. That Joe Biden is the president of the entire United States. And if he opened the southern border, arguably, it would just go wherever the populations were and the money is. Right? I mean, Colorado's a decent-sized state. What's the... hold on.
In 2022, the population of Colorado was 5,839,926.
There you go. Fewer people in Colorado than in Los Angeles County. And yet it's number 2 and it's not even on the fucking border. So let me just go out on a limb and say maybe, just maybe, it's not the fault of the president, who would be to blame kind of in a wash over the problems that the entire country had in theory. And if it's acutely bad in your state, it might be your fucking fault. Maybe, just maybe, pass the fucking border bill, which has in it, one of the biggest things it has is sensor equipment that can see, can look at chemical compounds through a fucking truck without even having to open the goddamn thing up. That can stop fentanyl from coming across in the shipping containers, in the box, in the actual trucks that are coming across. You fucking asshole. Maybe it's you, is my point.
Willful, it's deliberate. This is why we impeached
No, it isn't.
Secretary Mayorkas. This is
No, it isn't.
why I introduced articles of impeachment for Joe Biden and his.
No, it isn't. You did it because you've got to gin up a certain level of your like QAnon followers, and you've got to show your like insane Koreshian loyalty to Donald Trump. Otherwise, he won't you're too short for him to. He'll look right past you to Melania number 5.
Dereliction of duty at the southern border to keep you.
See what I mean? Like somebody's freeze framing this. They're like, what would drive up her numbers with our crowd? Well, how about every time she DSLs, we freeze frame?
Safe to uphold our immigration laws. And that vote, I forced every Republican to vote on that inquiry and to get it sent over to committee so we can actually do the work of impeaching Joe Biden.
Yeah, but you're not going to pass the actual border bill that would materially affect the actual security of the border. You're not going to pass that. Let me get this straight, because you hate big government and wasted taxpayer dollars on fishing expeditions and ridiculous committees and the like. You decide, instead of passing the border bill, which would spend money directly on hiring people and setting up more technology at the border to stop the kind of the scourge, as Trump calls it, coming across the border. Instead of doing that, you want an investigation, a committee, basically a blue ribbon jerk off. Great.
There's a lot more that we're doing to expose the corruption.
She almost said undercut. Did you see that?
Uphold our immigration laws. And that vote, I forced every Republican to vote on that
Listen.
inquiry and to get it sent over to committee so we can actually do the work of impeaching Joe Biden. There's a lot more that we're doing to
Oh, oh, she almost said undercut. Oh, it was so nice.
expose the corruption in the
Well, well, you would think you'd have to actually find some to expose it.
Biden family. We're having a hearing on Hunter Biden next week. But again, you've lived under both administrations. Where was your life better?
Yeah. How do you feel now versus, I don't know, March of 2020? What do you prefer? Do you prefer the president talking about pass the border bill so we can fix the border, and having already passed an infrastructure bill and the Rescue Act and pushing us towards green technology and away from fossil fuels, not just for the environmental reasons, but for the national security aspects of it, being respectful of other human beings and trying to mitigate multiple disasters in a thoughtful way worldwide. You want that, or do you want some dude suggesting you stick a fucking light bulb up your ass and drink bleach to cure COVID? But what? I mean, 6 of one, half dozen of another.
Mine was better under President Trump, and I am proud to have received his endorsement. He knows that he needs his A game.
Seriously, I feel like I'm watching a film strip of the first 20 minutes of a porn that I'm totally gonna lose interest in.
A team whenever he gets back to the White House, fighting alongside of him, serving the American people.
Fighting alongside of him, both of us trying desperately to read things and understand them. In the fight with him, going, what does that word mean? How does this even work? Who are these people? Why am I here? What are we even doing this for? Let's go golf.
With a heart like his, to put you first, to secure.
A heart like his. What, caked in fucking Cheetos? Good Lord, lady. At this point, his heart looks like a wet pile, like somebody crumpled a bunch of White Castles together, sprayed them pink, and left them on a windowsill.
Cure you, to help you to prosper, to bring back American energy development.
American energy development? We're developing new ways to use oil? Because clearly you're not talking about battery vehicles like EVs, because you don't have a EV battery plant in your district. Marjorie Taylor Greene does.
We can be energy secure, so we could be energy dominant. We could export freedom to our allies across the globe.
Yeah, we tried that in Iraq, I think.
Rather than funding two sides of a war.
Oh, she means Israel and Gaza. She means that if we're giving Iron Dome and material support for Israel, and by feeding Palestinians, that's the same as, because you're filling the bellies of killers, and so it's better to just let the kids starve, because they're just going to grow up to be monsters anyways. That's what she means. Just ask yourself, what would Jesus say? And then think the exact opposite.
By purchasing energy products from Russia and sending your tax dollars to Ukraine. And
we're not buying energy from Russia. What the fuck are you talking about? Huh?
Instead, we could have peace through strength.
What's peace through strength? Back off and let Russia do whatever the fuck they want to Ukraine? That's strength to you? I used to think, there's been a big deal about how we've never had a president that was single. They've all been married. They've all been in long-term relationships, except for Trump, which is this kind of fucking wet raincoat kind of. He's like, wives are like umbrellas to him, Once they get damp, you just throw them in the fucking bin and grab another one on your way out. there's always this thought that somebody who's married and is looking to the future, at least has their children, and is looking to maintain a relationship for the kids with them, is part and parcel to their kind of like the stability you would want in a leader. Now, I don't necessarily think that's true, and I think certainly there are cases where a single president would be just fine. I do think, though, that the monkey branch aspect of some presidencies, like specifically like Trump, or leaders like her, where there's just like you're just watching the collapse and the dysfunction. Even Sarah Palin, for example, where you're looking at the dysfunction of the family unit that they have together, and we never blame anybody for the like abuse they might suffer, but if you're going back into relationships like that again and again, it might be a sign of trauma, ignorance. It might just be your kink. It's a myriad of reasons why you can end up in a shitty. Yeah, that is a bit. Sorry for the OnlyFans freeze frames, but that's from there. Agreed, Scotland. We do not need another 4 years of fucking Trump, and you guys should kick him out too as soon as possible. We need a gay president. We probably already had one. You mean an out gay president, but I understand. Yeah, and Pete Buttigieg is married. He would be fine. But the point I'm trying to make is not that a single that a married in a functioning long-term relationship or a single president is the issue, but these folks like her and MTG arguably, and Sarah Palin, and certainly Donald Trump, who like monkey branch between shit relationships where they're either the victim or the victimizer, or take or are just part and parcel to a toxic relationship. The idea that someone in that situation keeps making that same mistake, while it might be forgivable on a personal level, and I would just say if you did business with them, they were an associate at your company or something like that, you might think twice about joining them on a project, right? Because you're like, oh, they've got all this weird fucking toxic shit that always comes up. And last time we were there, she and her husband got into a fucking shouting match, and she's screaming and he's screaming while we're in the middle of a sales thing. Like that kind of awkwardness, that would keep you from doing something that was kind of meaningful in your own life on a business level, much less someone who's going to actually be running the fucking country or in charge of a goddamn district, right? Because again, all that toxic shit we've heard about her and her husband that's been going on for a while all happened while her constituents were hoping she would actually do something for her district. And all she ultimately ended up doing was scuttling shit that was going to come to her district, or doing performative bullshit votes that where she knew it was going to pass anyways, but she could say no to it, like Rand Paul does, or like some members of the squad will do on occasion, where the money's going to come to your state, the money's going to come to your district, the bridges are going to get fixed, and that kind of stuff, but you vote against it because you can say you stood on principle for it. Whereas if you knew it was going to fail without your vote, you would vote for it because you need the fucking money. It's only the buffer that allows you to have, what is that, like the height of fucking electoral privilege on the fucking earth, where you got enough of a pad where you're like, I can throw my vote away on making myself look good, right? That's what she does all the time. And the idea that the toxicity of her life isn't going to fold over into the toxicity of her situation, especially because she doesn't seem to be avoiding it. She ran straight to even creepier shit, right? Beetlejuice being what it is.
So I'm voting for President Trump in November.
Shocker.
I certainly hope that you're going to as
Not a chance.
well. And again, I am proud to have received his endorsement in my campaign. In Colorado's 4th district, where I am running to represent, I have
Where you're running to represent? That you are running to represent? Or it's just a matter of geography? It's a little bit of a Freudian slip.
10 candidates who are running against me, 10 opponents. And
it's a primary, dumb fuck. Sorry. Jesus Christ, it's a congressional district.
Most of them have voting records.
Huh? I would hope so. You don't?
And they don't vote as they campaign. They campaign as no nonsense conservatives, but if
but they refuse to vote no on my nonsense.
you actually go back and look at how they vote on issues in the state legislature, they have failing Liberty scores.
Oh my God.
not conservatives.
Gee, it's almost like they had to vote to get stuff actually passed that would function for the state or that were mitigatory. They didn't come there to fight. They came there to compromise and build and wait for it, articulate their point of view in such a way that they convince the other people that are there that their way is the better way. Not the right way or the wrong way, but the better way, because every side of an argument can have some, especially when you're creating a program or a pilot situation where you're trying to solve a problem, will have its ups and downs, it will have its failures, it will have its successes. So, but one path will have fewer downsides and more upsides than the other, and they can successfully argue that point. As opposed to just have this fucking loyalty score, the Liberty score, so that Donald Trump can go, he doesn't give a fuck what she votes for. She's telegenic. That's why he likes her. Jesus Christ. Have you seen his lawyer? You think he picks any of these women, God bless them, on their capability or their qualities in a particular industry or job?
If you can't pass a conservative voting record, then you can't call yourself a conservative.
Well, all of them had a passing score. They just didn't have 100% because that's fucking nuts.
You're part of the problem. You're part of the uniparty. While these folks are in Colorado talking about what they would do, could do, maybe do, want to do, I'm actually doing.
I'm actually stopping anything from being done. And that's true conservatism. What I'm conserving is our energy as a country. We need to sit down and stop doing things. America is far too big and far too important in the world. We need to curtail it. We need to shut that down.
The work. And I have a voting record that actually backs that up.
No, you don't. You have a bunch of performative bullshit votes.
So the uniparty is trying to do everything that they can.
It's the Republican Party. What the fuck do you... Again, the 10 people that are running are they're Republicans. Look, I don't have a problem with you, like, hating rhinos and the fucking RNC and whatever. That's part and parcel to your entire, like, political, the wing of your political ideology right now. That whole side right now is fucked up and chaotic and toxic, and the infighting of that. I assume that. Leave me the fuck out of it. As a Democrat and as on behalf of my fellow Democrats, we have nothing to do with the fucking losers you're running against, or the fact that if I was speaking to one of them, I would say the loser they're running against. What the uniparty has... The Democrats don't have anything to fucking do with this. At this point, all this is boiling down to is this idiot is calling the Republican Party the uniparty. Good Lord.
To stop my candidacy, to rig the election in Colorado. And
rig it? By what? Debating and knocking on doors and doing all the shit you have to do to get elected to office?
And, this is breaking news as of yesterday. Ken Buck's announcement.
It's good. Breaking
Yesterday.
She literally broke the news. Good. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so her belief, I guess, is that Ken Buck is stepping down just to screw with her, as opposed to he's fucking fed up with this dump they've turned his party into.
Was a gift to the uniparty. The establishment concocted a swampy backroom deal to try to rig an election that I'm winning by 25 points, forcing an unnecessary special election when the same day as the primary election in Colorado. And this will confuse voters.
Well, yeah, because and she's right there. She is. I will give her credit for this. Republicans en masse, especially the ones in her district that might vote for her, are in fact easily confused. They're dopey, silly. They are, to the person, morons. And so, of course, they're going to be confused. But in defense of her uniparty issue, they're already confused, or they wouldn't be in a booth even considering voting for you.
And it will result in a lame duck congressman on day one. And
yeah, but they can vote their conscience, right? Arguably, that person would they could be more of a firebrand than you can afford to be, right? Because they're not, they aren't, I guess, expected to run again.
Leave the 4th district with no representation for.
Which, honestly, aren't we spending too much on government? I mean, I think one of the ways, we're spending money, Bobos. We're spending money in this country we don't have. And I think one of the ways we can start to claw back some of that money, and take away the burden that we are putting on the children's of the world, the children's. One of the ways our children's future is being leveraged with money we don't have to spend. One of the ways we can do it is just eliminate certain congressional seats from existence. Just don't pay someone for a while. There's two ways to do that. One, there's nobody in there, leave them without representation entirely. Or you should just work for free. Just reopen your riffle restaurant and make all your money there and on your Rumble podcast and on OnlyFans, and don't charge the government for your services. Just do it as a matter of your national pride.
More than 3 months. This is absolutely unacceptable. I believe that this is selfish. We already have this extremely razor thin majority.
Yeah, it's amazing that you guys treat it like a fucking mandate.
And now Ken Buck has said that he's resigning next week on March 22nd, and the 4th district will go 3 months without a voice in Washington.
Ugh. It's terrible. Why? Why must it go 3 months without a voice in Washington? It's terrible. When it could be you, Bobes. And there could be another Democrat in Colorado. And then after you were in that district in Ken Buck's district for a couple of years, there could be a Democrat in that seat as well. We will all miss you, Bobes, because you are printing seats for Democrats.
D.C. I believe that Colorado's 4th district deserves better.
So and with that, I am suspending my campaign for That's why I'm stepping down right now, because even my proximity, even though I'm not serving that district right now, just being close to it, I'm fucking with them. This is terrible.
I will not further imperil the already very slim House Republican majority by resigning my current seat in Colorado's 3rd district, and I will continue to deliver on my constituents' priorities while working hard to earn the votes of the people in the Colorado's 4th district who have.
While I will still try to let my side piece think they're the number one, while I'm spending more time courting my next side piece to turn it into my main squeeze, as I'm letting go of one main squeeze and moving, as I'm monkey branching from one political penis to the other, as it were. I
made very, very clear that they are hungry for a real conservative who.
Right, that's why there's 10 people running.
Who represents their values, who.
Okay, again, sorry about the freeze frames, but kind of not, I guess. You're welcome.
Stands for them, who will not back down. And
Oh, so Laura Trump is running. I had no idea.
I am the only Trump-endorsed America First candidate in this race, and I will win the 4th district's primary election on June 25th, and of course the general election on November 5th. So.
No. Because again, there would not be this kind of panic amongst your party if it was game, set, match. If they really thought she was going to win, I'm dead serious. They don't give a fuck. If they thought she could bounce over and then win that district pretty easily, they wouldn't do any of this shit that she's alleging they're doing to protect the district or run somebody that can lock down the district for the Republicans. They wouldn't be scrambling like this if they thought she was a fucking shoo-in.
So I appreciate all of you and your help, but this is me telling you I'm not going anywhere.
And you can tell because I'm on Rumble.
I am not going to put my constituents in the 3rd district in a bind, leaving them also without representation by resigning. I'm going to continue on to the primary in the 4th district, and the uniparty.
But if you won the primary, wouldn't you have to step down anyways? You can't run for 2 offices at the same time. Right? If she wins the primary, she's got to anyways. Lord almighty.
They can have their special election. Congratulations. Put in your Ukraine first candidate. I don't really care. It's going to be a
You kind of do.
placeholder for 6 months, but at least there will be someone to help us keep our majority. A Republican
Right. But according to you, somebody that will actually vote for Ukraine funding.
will win that special election, and they can sit
More than likely that person who's Ukraine first that you call them, which is really just somebody who's America first in reality, as opposed to this fucking bumper sticker you made up.
there for 6 months and feel it's important or whatever it is they may do. But
Yeah, fucking Republicans. You know, I hear you, sister. That's the thing, right?
we are going to continue. And on June 25th, we will win the primary, go on to win the general election, and serve alongside President Trump in his next term
Really? He's gonna make you a cabinet official?
as president of the United States. And you know what? The next 4 years are going to be even better than his first 4. He
Well, the last 4 have been, so that's not surprising. And of course they will, because Joe Biden's going to be president.
has had so much experience in draining the swamp, and he knows
Uh-huh. What? So he could meet the alligators face to face?
exactly how deep the swamp is. And he
Right. And decided what? He likes it that way?
knows when you try to drain the swamp, well, these creatures, they start biting back.
Mm-hmm. Do they?
And we are seeing that as well. And that's why there are many of us MAGA America First candidates.
First of all, wait a fucking second. All right, I'm done with this anyways. This is fucking boring. But your argument is that the Uniparty is running a bunch of people against you for this district in an attempt to protect the swamp. When the vast majority of the people that are running against her I'm pretty sure she's the only one from DC, the only one who's actually a DC politician. The rest of them are all state reps or people in the fucking state. How are they part of the swamp? Is Colorado a fucking swamp state now? If you're running to stay in DC, aren't you the swamp? Jesus Christ, why wouldn't you roll in, do whatever the fuck you wanted to do, go boom, I nailed it, bye. Right?
Who are here to be in the fight with him.
All right, it's not a fight. Grow the fuck up. I'm getting increasingly bored with the idea of it being a fight. Real quick, I'm going to jump over to something else. By the way, hit the like if you could. Thank you guys for joining me today. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for all the support. The patrons, Templeton, everybody who's supporting the show. It brings a tear to my eye more often than I can mention, even that you guys support the show and that it's a thing. I had right before the show today, because I couldn't do a morning show, I had to bump a podcast interview that I did and during it we just started getting like talking about, and this because this is what I always end up talking about, but I just started talking about like why I started doing the show again, and why it feels so good to do. And it's because I feel like I contribute. It's nice to feel like you're contributing. You know what I mean? Where you're doing some good, and it's a good outlet for me to be, a clowny asshole. So that's fun too. It's nice to find a hook for your coat, as it were, in the world. And but at the same time, like I mentioned that occasionally I'll be, throughout the day or something, I'll get a message from somebody that goes, "Hey, you reached a milestone on your subscribers or something," because I'm in the middle of doing something or researching or fucking reading PDFs all goddamn day. And a lot of people, or they'll watch the show later and I'll get a Venmo or something like that, and somebody will go, "Hey," and it's very touching. Like, and Summer will tell you, like, occasionally my phone will go, "Bloom," and I look at it and I'm like, oh. And she's like, was somebody nice to you again? I'm like, yes. So, anyways, love you guys. Please subscribe. We're at 66.8. I almost feel bad we didn't dangle at 666 for a while, but we'll get to 666,000 eventually. But we got to clear that 100,000 mark because that's really the force multiplier. So please subscribe. If you watch, just do it. We can't see you. We don't know you're in there. Don't worry about it. It doesn't spy back. It's not TikTok. You're fine. So, anyways, love you guys, and let's continue. So this is Pat Gray on, this is Pat Gray on The Blaze, and he's talking about how this is watch. Biden is barely functioning in latest MSNBC softball interview. By the way, it wasn't a softball interview. As a matter of fact, I thought I like Jonathan Capehart. Don't get me wrong, but there were a couple of times where he asked the questions in kind of a dickish way, and I'm fine with that. But he did. It was, especially the question about illegals and whatever. He was poking specifically about that. You could tell he was word policing, not just asking about it because there was a mild controversy about it, and being a kind of, like a distancing himself from the news as a newsman, that kind of thing. You could tell he was poking on him a little bit about that. I personally think the word policing is a mistake and it's a waste of time and it doesn't actually solve the problem. And we'll get into a morning show conversation about that very soon, because I actually think as the language gets softer about that, the feelings get harder. It's a very weird ROI on that, solution. And so we'll talk about that at some point. But this is, they're dealing with a multitude of issues here, and Biden, like he says Ukraine instead of Israel or something, about one of these issues, and then he just corrects himself immediately because they're talking about a bunch of these issues, and you can tell he's measuring his talk about it, because this is like life and death shit. Seriously, this is life and death shit.
I sat with them and I sat with the war cabinet. I said, look, don't make the mistake America made. America made a mistake. We went after bin Laden until we got him. But we shouldn't have gone into Ukraine. I mean, we shouldn't have gone into the whole thing in Iraq and Afghanistan. It wasn't necessary. It wasn't necessary. And it just caused more problems than it raised, than it cured.
Yes. Okay. All stumbly language aside, an astute view of the issue. It's really loud, I'm sorry. Does anybody disagree with that assessment? Because they're talking about a multitude of issues in it. Sorry. Okay, so there we go. Whereas I fixed it. It's better? Yeah, sorry if it was loud. Right? That was his base. Right. Does anybody in the chat room disagree with his assessment on that? He swaps he goes, Ukraine, but then he goes, into Iraq and Afghanistan, because they're talking about Middle East issues. And seriously, right now, he's actually dealing with a bunch of shit that's happening between Iran and Iraq as well currently. His assessment in that situation is exactly right. It was good that we went after bin Laden and we got him, but going into Afghanistan and Iraq at that point was a mistake, and it caused more problems than it cured. Totally fucking true. Right? Nailed it. Absolutely on point. Now, the aspect of him, like, trying to choose his words carefully and then swapping out Ukraine for 1 second because they're talking about a myriad of these issues, and the strategy around how you deal with the invasion from Russia into Ukraine, and the idea of multiple invasions going on, namely the October 7th invasion into Israel, which is one, the possible invasion into Rafah, which they're concerned about, Russia invading both in 2014 and then continuing to salami slice its way through the Donbass during Trump's entire presidency, and then invading specifically into the entire country and then being pushed back. Like, it's a lot to cover. But does anybody agree with the principle? Because that's what the decisions are made on. As opposed to Donald Trump, who said, you got to finish the problem. And that's the depth of his fucking thought. But this is Pat, laughing at it.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Man.
We need a translator.
What?
First, we chased bin Laden into Ukraine. You remember that? That was like, where in the world is...
It was a dumb place to chase him because he wasn't there.
Right.
And
that's what took so long.
Yeah.
So
Okay, he self-corrected. He didn't leave it there like Trump does. For fuck's sake. Like, don't make me go straight to, where is it? I know we have it here somewhere. I have to put that. I've got to like keep that that piece on par. Or let's see, in place. Give me 1 second. Sorry, chat room. Sorry. Yeah. Go back up here. Yeah.
Heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat. Heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat. Heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat. Heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat.
Rip it, dude. Oh. Do you think anything that Biden said in swapping out Ukraine for a second is anywhere in the fucking ballpark of Saudi Arabia and Russia ribba-de-oh?
Heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat.
Rip-a-doot. I'm serious. 1-to-1. Because I got news for you. Like, beyond the fact that that's a hilarious brain fart, what the fuck? Just ethically, logically, spiritually, philosophically, psychosexually, what the fuck was he talking about? What was his criticism in that situation? Ribba-da-oh.
That's
And
why
wasn't
we're
he
stumbling
against-
around in Ukraine for 10 years.
wasn't he against going after bin Laden? I feel like he was against him because remember he used to give Obama credit. He's like, that's a
Tough decision.
hardest
Toughest decision in 500 years.
yeah. He was against going after bin Laden.
Yeah, he was.
No, it wasn't. He was against it. His last conversation with him was, they don't know he's there specifically, and you're going to be sending 2 platoons in there to get him, like these special forces, and they could die. And so my thought is, wait till he's out in the open. Wait till you get more clearance. We'll know in a week, and you could wait till then. And they decided to go for it anyways.
Yep.
And then
Incredible.
I don't know, man.
He was against the surge, which was smart. He was also the person who told Obama, look, these generals are going to come to you, and they're always going to say fucking 6 weeks. 6 weeks from, 6 weeks, 6 months, 8 months, 10 months. It's right around the corner. Just keep at it, and we're almost there. We're so fucking close. We're so fucking close. And then you can get out, and then we'll get close. Just start setting it up, and we'll get out, and and Biden was like, they're gonna keep saying this shit. And as a matter of fact, when he got in office, after Trump had set this arbitrary date that he himself has admitted already that he was never going to live up to, he set this arbitrary date, and then Biden saw that it was there and went, this is our fucking off-ramp. We're going. I don't care if I take the hit. I know it's going to be bad no matter how, we've been in there for fucking 20 years. Getting out is going to be ugly no matter what the fuck happens, but staying in is uglier. And the idea that Trump, they lose 96 people over while he's in office in Afghanistan and Iraq and in the war theater over there over the course of the time. I think it was like 56 specifically in Afghanistan. But Biden lose, 13 are killed when Biden's getting us out, and none since, because we're out of there. They want credit for not having those because we just kept it rolling, because you can always brag about an unknown. That's why Trump always does the never would have happened.
The guy, his brain it's like when he speaks, it's like you're like trying to start a fire.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, are we gonna spark this? Are you gonna keep talking?
Mm-hmm. Pretty bad.
Here's the thing. Notice how they jump on the flip of the one word, and he talks like this about like getting the words out. but they have no real critique of the point Biden was making. They can't. They have none.
Bad. And what about going back to Israel? Should you do that?
Love him there.
Some have suggested you should go back to Israel and
stay
address
there.
the Knesset, the
Live there.
Israeli
How about
parliament.
that?
Is that something you would do?
Yes.
Yes. Hello.
Would that have to be at the invitation of the prime minister, or could that be at the invitation of the president?
I'd rather not discuss it more.
Okay.
Why?
Does that mean that that has been discussed?
It's in current discussion. It would provoke Netanyahu to think his days are numbered, because part and parcel to the argument that the administration has been making and continue to make, and the way Biden is talking about. Listen in context to everything that's been happening with Blinken and Biden and what he said on the fucking floor with that accidental on purpose hot mic. Of course. If he says, yes, I'm going to speak to Knesset, we're making arrangements for it right now, then that's where Netanyahu goes, the only way I gain strength is if I just finish this now. And he doubles down and he sends a bunch of people in to like rip off the Band-Aid in Rafah and kills a bunch of people, but ends it as quickly as possible, which involves killing a lot more civilians. And so every word that Biden says in this situation can be measured in human life. That's what being a president means. And when Trump was like speaking flippantly about this shit, he doesn't care.
Possibility of going back to Israel to address the Knesset.
I don't mean anything.
Okay.
He's like, okay.
He's realizing, all right.
Hi. Huh? Okay. Love you. Again, none of them either understand or care to or are lying or whatever about this particular issue. Like the actual weight of it, the importance of it, any of that stuff. They're not getting into any of it.
I'm dealing with a moron here. I'm dealing with a brain-dead individual.
That's incredible.
I mean,
Yeah,
the look on his
isn't it?
face, it was just
Yeah.
frozen like that.
That's incredible. They're not discussing it.
No, it wasn't. Because he literally said yes. What's he supposed to do? Yes. What's he supposed to, like, squinch his fucking face like me? Or fucking Glenn Beck?
More, come on, I'll ask you one more follow-up
Yeah,
question.
he can't discuss it anymore because he doesn't understand it.
Bullshit. He can't discuss it anymore because lives hang in the balance and no one at the Blaze gives a fuck. It's a joke to these guys.
He doesn't get it.
Like, watch,
What
just
do
look
you
at his
mean?
face.
What do you mean?
Some have suggested you should go
Watch his
back
face.
to Israel.
That's it.
Somebody
I mean,
suggested you
you
should
could
just
have
leave this country
something you
forever.
would do?
Is that something you would do?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
Good.
Excellent.
2 1,000. 3 1,000.
Would that have to be at the invitation of the prime minister, or could that be at the invitation of the president?
8, 9.
I'd rather not
seconds.
discuss it more.
10 seconds, frozen.
Does that mean that
It wasn't 10 seconds frozen. He was. They know Jonathan Capehart was actually speaking during that point, right? Also, can you imagine being upset at someone considering the weight of what they are being asked and its implications for everyone involved?
that has been
And also, Jonathan should know better. He's a good guy, I take it. I have no reason to believe he isn't. But he should know better. That there are elements of this that are directly provocative and that are basically a poke at Netanyahu. And he's the wild card in this situation. And again, lives hang in the balance. If the U.S. does react because Netanyahu decides, fuck it, my days are numbered and they're going to come after me anyway, so I'm going to go out the guy who wiped out Hamas, from the rooter to the tutor, so fuck it. If you push him to do that, because that's the only angle he does, there are a lot of innocent people that are going to die that don't have to die. That's why these kind of interviews do matter. And that's why when, fucking George W. Bush was talking about this shit, like, well, we're thinking about doing certain things, but, we'll end up doing, I'm the decider. And we're gonna make this happen. We gotta show them exactly what we're doing. And then they cut to fucking Cheney going, well, we're gonna be in there within a couple of days. Like, it literally had an effect on how many civilians died during that time. The difference is that Trump doesn't give a fuck. Glenn Beck certainly doesn't give a fuck. Pat Gray doesn't give a fuck. Neither does the fucking Okies sitting around.
And discussed the possibility of going back to Israel and addressing the Knesset.
Doesn't mean anything. I don't know what it means.
Okay, old man.
I really don't know.
Time to go back to your room.
I swear to God, like, they don't understand the question themselves. Listen again to what Jonathan Capehart asks him.
The possibility of going back to Israel and addressing the Knesset.
Hold on.
Prime Minister, or could that be at the invitation of the President?
Rather not discuss it.
9.
I'd rather not
seconds.
discuss it more.
10 seconds, frozen.
Does that mean that has been discussed? The possibility of going back to Israel and addressing the Knesset.
Right. He's like, don't read into what I'm saying. Either way, it doesn't mean anything. That's what he's talking about. If I say yes or no, that's answering the question, which if I answer it, no matter which way you answer that specific question, you're going to end up with a reaction from Netanyahu specifically. Yes, I can speak to him. Does that mean there's been talks? Doesn't mean anything. It means I'd rather not talk about it. That's what it means. Just that means my first answer was the right one. That's what it means. Like, I don't understand the difficulty in this. And this whole 10 seconds frozen when 9 seconds of that was Jonathan Capehart talking. Now, granted, Pat Gray and his dipshits are talking over a black guy who's speaking. So maybe they just can't hear him. Maybe there's just something fucked up with their ears where they can't hear black people speak. I mean, they can hear Candace Owens, so maybe I'm wrong. But
Doesn't mean anything. I don't know what it means.
Okay, old man.
I really don't know.
Time to go back to your room.
Are we speaking English here or what?
Doesn't mean anything.
I don't know what it means.
I don't want to
really.
talk about it anymore.
Incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah.
he just said something to somebody, killed his mic for some reason. Did you have to edit something there? You can't speak freely, Pat?
He's good.
Yeah. All right. And Joe referred to the killer of Laken Riley as being an illegal during the
during the speech, which we talked about Friday, that they were upset about it.
Yeah, they were.
And they continued to be upset about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But during your response to her heckling of you, you used the word illegal when talking about the man who allegedly killed Laken Riley.
An undocumented person. And I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented. And look.
Well, technically speaking, I would like to say for the record, his act was illegal, but he was here under an asylum claim with his girlfriend and her child. That's how he got here. He was undocumented when he got here. Now that he's committed an act that was illegal, then you can kick him to the fucking curb. But the general nature of, because illegal is a blanket term that they avoid. Also, again, I think this is an ice skate uphill, but he's definitely poking him about it. And they definitely were like, this is a cleanup answer. Whether, Jonathan Capehart said, I'm going to ask you about that. And they're like, cool. Or they said, go ahead and ask me about the illegal thing. I would like to clean that up. I'd like an opportunity to clean that up. Whichever way it was, it's totally fine that he does. The point isn't that guy did something illegal. The point is referring to people who are undocumented as illegals. That's the thing. And it's an important distinction. And it's okay that he corrects it. It's fine. But these guys hate that because they think the point he's trying to make is that he won't even call him an illegal after he does something illegal. It's like, no, he's not. The illegality wasn't the fact that he was part of the asylum. He had an open asylum claim.
When I spoke about the difference between Trump and me, one of the things I talked about on the border was that the way he talks about vermin, the way he talks about these people polluting the blood. I talked about what I'm not going to do, what I won't do. I'm not going to treat any.
He's never talked about polluting blood.
You're right. He said poisoning the blood, which is worse, you fucking asshole. Dial it back, man. Don't throw yourself in front of this bus. You're right. Hitler did not say polluting the blood. Hitler said in German, poisoning the blood. And Trump quoted him.
With disrespect.
The blood.
And quite frankly, Biden sort of like, by speaking of it euphemistically that way, is doing kind of Trump a favor. It kind of softens what he said. Poison is a way worse word in that regard, and it carries a lot more weight than polluting certainly does, because you can pollute accidentally. You can't poison accidentally. You could be poisoned accidentally, I guess, if you're a snake. Tender woman.
Built the country.
The hell?
The reason our economy is growing.
Okay, the lying.
He talks about the vermin and polluting the blood.
It's unacceptable. When he talks about vermin, he's talking about the people who are coming here and committing crimes and raping people. And
no, he isn't. He's talking about all of them. Dude, he calls it an invasion. He means the women, the kids, the roofing age men who come here and work their ass off, you lazy basement dweller.
All of that kind of stuff. He's not saying they're all vermin.
Yes, he is. As a matter of fact, his aside in 2016 was, and some of them I assume are good people, was the idea. He stopped saying that. He has literally stopped saying, and some of them are good people. He's totally thrown that away. That one caveat that got him out of it, he's blown that off. Now, they're just coming here from insane asylums. Countries are dumping their crazies into the fucking country. They're violent monsters.
And to my knowledge, I've never heard him say the phrase, they're polluting our blood.
He said poisoning.
Yeah, he said they're poisoning the blood of our...
Way to fuck it up, dude. Oops. Yeah, that doesn't make it better.
Country, something like that. Yeah,
I need to see that. I've never.
What? Fuck you. You have get out of here. There is no way this asshole has not seen this. Get the fuck out of here.
I've never seen that.
Yeah.
One moment, please. Former President Donald Trump said immigrants coming to the U.S. are poisoning the blood of our country. Hold on one second. I'm going to wait for this ad to end in 22 seconds, and then I'll share that with you. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
President Donald Trump rallying his supporters in the early voting state of Nevada. It comes a day after he made these controversial comments about immigrants at a rally in Durham, New Hampshire.
They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what.
Yeah, that I think that settles it. Yeah,
they've done.
The Biden campaign.
Is that clear enough? Took me all.
It comes a day after he made these controversial comments about immigrants at a rally in Durham, New Hampshire.
They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what.
And this motherfucker wants to say that Biden doesn't know what he's talking about, but he hasn't heard that shit.
They've done.
Yeah. What? Hold on, I got to push the button on this guy.
Of our country, something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. No, exactly like that.
I need to see that. I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Look at this dude over here. Okay, he's heard it. He's heard it.
Never seen that. Wow.
Never seen that. Wow. Well, I look forward, Pat, and everybody at the Blaze, and your fucking awful blood libel about the Ukrainian people and the shit you talk about the Biden crime family and stuff. I look forward to you being the people of integrity you allege yourself to be, and and post a retraction and an apology, saying that actually Biden was almost being nice, and that what Trump said was actually worse. And this is I think my favorite part of this. Where are we here? Yeah. Here you go. This should be easy. Trump doubles down on immigrant blood remark, says he never read Mein Kampf. Hitler and I came to the exact same conclusion. He's a very strong guy. Same thing we said, you know. Tuesday doubled down on his widely criticized comments about immigration by suggesting that people crossing the border illegally into the United States are destroying the blood of our country. He didn't say just poisoning it, destroying the blood of our country. I got to say, you could have just not shown that part of it and saved yourself the hassle, Blaze. You assholes. Oof. By the way, don't forget to hit that like and the subscribing, and also patreon.com/HalSparks. Please support the show and other things. And also spread the love around. If you're in that kind of thing and you're like, I have $20 a month that I could share out, then maybe, me, Texas Paul, Boston Brian, Stephanie Miller, like $5 each, and just kind of do that. And then that's your kind of like monthly support for everybody. That's a great way to do it if you feel like doing it. If you don't have, if times are tight and money's tight, we completely understand. Just do the free stuff. Just hit the like and share. Totally good. Adolf Hitler did his own research. Yes, into cranial, I guess it would be occipital. Yeah. Cranial self-surgery with a short projectile. How that's socialism. Oh, no, it isn't. Actually, it isn't. It's more akin to, it's capitalism. It's actually, I was about to make a kind of, social taxation idea, but it's actually just capitalism. It's just you spending things on things you think are worthwhile. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's really all it is. It's great. Yes. Thank you, Vina, for giving random chat hugs to everybody. So meanwhile, you know what? Who am I to say, that Biden isn't addled? I'm sure, that Donald Trump's addressing his victory as the Republican presumptive nominee. We've all been waiting to see this. I'm so excited. He didn't even bother to go out and make everybody stand in the rain outside of Mar-a-Lago as planes went overhead to say it. And he didn't go into his other little room or whatever. He just did it from the office about 8 feet from where the classified documents were hidden amongst framed pictures in boxes in his office. Yes, this dude is literally standing. Like if the crime he had committed was murder, this asshole would be standing in the middle of the chalk outline as he does this. What happened to his red tie? He sometimes wears these when he's around. He saves those for events or whatever because it's supposedly some sort of QAnon code. Yeah, Steve Miller read it to him. It's true. He listened to the book on tape. I've never read Mein Kampf. I don't read things. I listen to books on tape. They play it in the car. They often play it to me while I'm sleeping, hoping it will absorb. And I'll just say it, and they'll go, "We said it. We." Here we go. This is, yeah.
Hello, everyone. It's your favorite president.
Okay, first of all, everyone is not watching. I don't know what the views on this are, but you got 505,000 followers on RSBN. There's 441 thumbs up on this and 16,000 views. So not even everyone that subscribes to the RSBN Rumble channel has watched this. So just saying. Maybe eventually everyone will. That's the idea. He will, he's assuming that in the future he'll be president again and he'll force everyone in the re-education camps to watch this. So it's for the future. In the future, everyone will watch.
Speaking to you on a really great day of victory. 1 week ago, we.
Are you all right? Every possible variation of him thrusting his hips forward that I was about to make a joke on have nauseated me, so I'm going to move on.
Had something called Super Tuesday. And it was indeed super.
It was indeed super. Which part? The part where you lost Vermont when you used to be the president of the United States and you lost Vermont amongst your own fucking party and you got like 60-40 of most of the states? Is that what was super about it? I agree.
Because we won at numbers that nobody has ever seen before.
Well, again, first of all, no. Second of all, a lot of your predecessors, Republicans especially, and including some who weren't president, in case of like George H.W. Bush, who ran unopposed in a lot of the primaries, they won flat out. They didn't even have to have a primary. They had such a functioning party and a plan that they just ran. They just did it. They just got it. They just said, he's going to be the guy? Okay, cool. We're cool with that. Let's move on.
Records in virtually every state.
Except the ones you lost and the half that you only got 60-40.
And tonight, likewise. But this one got us over the top. The Republican National Committee has just declared us the official nominee. And so we're the official nominee of the Republican Party.
Oh, yeah, I know them. The Uniparty, right? The fuckers who can't shoot straight. They suck. They can't do anything right. And they were run by a bunch of shitheads and stuff. I mean, you just put your daughter in charge, but you basically, you became the nominee for that party before she came in, obviously. However, Ronna McDaniel's party or whatever, Ronna Romney McDaniel's party.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah. Is it? Tell us what a big deal it is. It's a big deal. It's not a big fucking deal like something like, I don't know, Obamacare, but...
But most importantly, we now have to go on to victory because our country's in serious trouble. We have millions and millions.
I gotta say, this has serious, like, John Voight from his living room vibes. How the fuck... This is... I don't think people are even grasping how fucking lame and ridiculous this is. This asshole just won the nomination barely, squeaked by 60-40 in most of these states, and again, lost a couple of states to a woman of color in the modern Republican Party. Fuck you votes abound. And did he roll into a situation where there were like a 60,000 person arena to announce that he's officially the nominee even before? Remember, there's never been a movement like this. You got, again, this isn't my standard. This is his fucking standard. Right? And here he is, standing like 8 feet from a fucking doily next to some grandma curtains and a picture like, remember when I had a real job? Picture over his fucking shoulder, which is, 3/5 soldiers and 1/5 him and 1/5 woman who legally is only standing there because of a prenup, in a shitty, echoey ante-room where maybe Bedminster, is that where this is? Maybe, you know what it is? Maybe he's just picked the corner of the room that looks like part of the Oval Office. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't doubt if this motherfucker stole those curtains from the Oval. Those were the old ones. They moved in, they replaced them, and then these were in a box, so they just put the box in their shit, and he ran off with some fucking Oval Office curtains. I wouldn't put that past him for 1 fucking second.
Of people flowing in. We have no respect on the world stage. What we say doesn't mean a thing anymore.
Well, that's because Republicans are blocking aid. It's not because we don't live up to shit.
And to have that happen is unthinkable.
Nothing is unthinkable. That's the power of the human brain. As a matter of fact, you'd be shocked at how a lot of us can think anything and yet not act on it. That's the thing. You can actually think something, consider it, and not just like blurt it out. It's weird. Try it.
We have an economy that outside of certain little areas is doing
certain little areas. It is literally the best economy on earth currently. vast improvements everywhere, including the parts where like minorities are again tightening the gap in the unemployment numbers.
Very poorly, and we have something very, very important. We have a United States military that has to be taken care of.
All right. Yeah. Do we? We have something very important. We have United States military that has to be taken care of. Okay. Real quick. Imagine Pat Gray and his fucking squad of dipshits sitting around playing an interview with Jonathan Capehart interviewing Joe Biden, and Joe Biden said that. Joe Biden says this.
Certain little areas is doing very poorly, and we have something very, very important. We have a United States military that has to be taken care of. Again, this was a great day of victory. Last week was something very special, Super Tuesday. But now we have to get back to work because we have the worst president in the history of our country. His name is Joe Biden, sometimes referred to as Crooked Joe Biden, and he must be defeated.
Sometimes referred to.
Our nation is failing.
No, we're really not.
We're a nation that is in serious decline.
No, we actually aren't.
We've never had a situation like this.
Yeah, well, I would argue that is kind of true. You know, we've never had a situation where we've got, the best unemployment numbers in 50 years. The stock market's breaking all kinds of records. Real wages are growing. They've taken inflation from 9% to 3%, looking like it's going to head towards 2.5% around the election. That's an incredible drop considering that we came out of COVID. The fact that we came out of COVID and everything's kind of back to normal. And I think the only one thing about that is that the person running against the incumbent has decided to run on this idea that everywhere outside your window is fucking rubble.
Where we're not respected, we're laughed at, we're considered almost a joke.
No, that's just you. Again, you have to understand, every time this motherfucker picks up the phone, they're already laughing. It's like, I'm gonna call Baby Orban, the Yahoo. I've got a special. Put him on the phone. Stop laughing. That's not fair. Hello. See, they're already laughing at Joe. You said it was me, and they're laughing at Joe. Are you laughing at because Joe Biden is? Quit it. I know it's funny. What's funny? That I would say no, Joe Biden. You're laughing because every time I say Joe Biden, you laugh even harder. Because you're laughing at Joe? What do you mean me saying Joe Biden makes you... Why would me saying Joe Biden make you... Get me someone else. What do you mean there is no one else? Get me Kim Jong-un. He won't laugh. He doesn't speak English. Every fucking time.
We're going to turn it around. We're going to drill, baby. Drill. We're going to close our borders.
Jesus Christ. We're going to turn this country around and put it on the path that Sarah Palin would have put it on.
We're going to do things like nobody's ever seen before.
Ew. I got to say, people have seen a lot of shit. I dare say, and I know I'll regret this, I dare say somebody, somewhere has, if you spread it out evenly enough, we've all collectively seen almost everything. Yeah. What are you talking about? America becoming a kleptocracy? We've never seen that. Maybe that's what you're talking about. America literally being taken over by Russia and China from within. We have not seen that. But that would be on that list.
And we're going to make our nation's economy be the best ever in the world.
It kind of is. Because again, if your economy's good when everything's good, is that really saying much? But if it's after a recovery, if it manages to push ahead of all the world economies, that's fucking impressive. It's like the difference between somebody who is running, who's relatively healthy, always has been. That's impressive if they can run a long way. But somebody who's been like in a car accident and had open heart surgery and had their legs in braces for years and they're running, that's way more impressive.
We had the best economy ever.
Well, but now we have the best economy ever. Our economy is literally better than it was then. I mean, why don't you just go back to like fucking, I don't know, Nixon had the best economy ever up to that point.
Short while ago, and we're going to have that again. We're going to have people come into our country, but they're going to come in legally, and we're going to get your energy.
Which means no Muslims. Legally, I'm only going to let in hot Norwegians and Russians with a lot of spending money, maybe some Chinese, as long as they promise to leave.
Costs down by numbers that nobody would have said even possible.
What?
Economy be the best ever in the world. We had the best economy ever just a short while ago, and we're going to have that again. We're going to have people come into our country, but they're going to come in legally, and we're going to get your energy costs down by numbers that nobody would have said even possible.
Well, yeah, as long as you're buying fossil fuels. I mean, you'd have to do that through, I don't know, renewables, which is, once you get the, you get the technology caught up with the kind of maxing out its return. Oh, thank you so much, Beck, for that. Let me take on the insanity going on. Praying you're right about Biden winning. He will. Don't worry. I sat in my house and cried for 3 weeks after Trump won in 2016. It was worse than I expected then. God knows what may happen. Don't worry about it. He's everyone just like you who was like kind of like, I don't know, maybe it won't be so bad on the Sarandon side. They now know better. Some of them will still vote against it because they want the whole place to burn down because they don't give a fuck about real people. But the vast majority, especially because of the way Roe went, know the consequences, know the reality now.
We have some sections of this country that are paying the highest numbers in the history of our country. And
it means New Hampshire.
And among the most expensive energy anywhere in the world. And yet we have more liquid gold, I call it, under our feet than any other nation. Just 3 years.
That was an edit. Jesus Christ. We don't. Technically, Venezuela has the biggest reserves.
Ago, we were energy independent.
We still are, technically. The only reason we dropped below that was because we were using more fossil fuels than ever, getting things started again.
And now we're going around begging for energy.
No, we're really not. I mean, the United States, by the way, isn't buying this. Companies buy it. Companies sell it. I mean, specifically, like the oil companies trade in it for whatever its current market value is. You fucking commie.
So we're not going to have that anymore.
Okay, good. We're not going to have that. We're not going to have an open market. Like, we're not going to have a free market economy when it comes to oil and gas. You're gonna nationalize the oil. Is that what it is?
We're going to have a strong country. We're going to have a respected country. We have to win an election, and we should win.
Yeah, we will. Don't worry.
It by a lot, because there's never been anybody worse at doing that job than Joe Biden.
Really? Even all the other people who didn't get an infrastructure bill passed or a rescue bill passed, or I would argue gun reform for the first time in fucking 30 years. He seems pretty good at embarrassing Comer and Jordan, too, while we're at it.
So we're not going to take time to celebrate.
Well, we're going to golf. What do you mean?
We'll celebrate in 8 months when the
oh, you're right. We will.
The election is over. November 5th, I believe, will go down as the most important day in the history of our country.
Well, it'll be nice. It's not going to be. Obviously, I'm still kind of partial to the end of slavery myself. along with the actual creation of the country. You know, there's been a lot of other dates, of course, but I got to say, no date involving you is even going to stack up, except the fact that you lose, and that's the last time we have to hear from you politically in any meaningful way, because you're not going to run again after that. It's not. We're just going to see the fucking wind down happen so goddamn quickly.
So start thinking about it.
Oh, I'm thinking about it.
Start thinking about your vote, because this vote is going to be the most important vote you've ever cast.
Mm-hmm. Tell that to Nikki Haley's voters who are going to go, I agree, and vote for Biden.
And again, for this evening and for last week and for all the weeks before, for the tremendous success we've had in this primary, I want to thank everybody.
Not everybody, just the 16,000 out of the 500,000 subscribers to this channel that watched the video.
But much more importantly, we have to get to work to beat Joe Biden, the worst administration, the worst president in the history of our country.
I think he's both, you know what I mean?
They are destroying our country, and we're not going to let that happen.
Well, you kind of are, aren't you? I mean, he's been president for 3.5 fucking years, or 3 and change, so, well, 3 and a month, I guess. So, you have let it happen. And if you really think about it, I got to say, I think it's your fault. I mean, if you hadn't fucked up COVID so badly, there's a very strong chance you would have actually retained the presidency, God help us. But you had to be a whiny, petulant fucking toddler. Whoops.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Fuck off. Text this and give me money. I'm broke as fuck. I couldn't afford a rally to celebrate this because of my legal bills. Where are we doing? We're okay. I'm over a little bit, but for the record, if I may, I reserve the right to go a little bit over just because I'm going to go back to here. Because I didn't get to do a morning show. Okay, many of you will remember, and I'll end on this. We're not going to do this whole video either because it's too long, but it's just for the joy of doing it. Many of you will recall that on OAN, I think it was, the Orange Asshole Network, that's what it stands for, right? On OAN, there's a guy, Danny Balls, who at one point said he would debate me anytime, anywhere. And then we reached out and never heard back. He's just been dodging me since fucking October. And then he just kind of, let it slide, I guess. To, I don't know. He just either wimped out, ran off scared, or was just kind of douched his way into a corner. And I was like, what's this guy really got as far as programming that could be better than me? You know what I mean? Because that'd be some pretty hot shit if I do say so my damn self. I think it would be hilarious. I would intentionally make it hilarious, and I think it'd be probably the most lively episode that Danny Balls has ever had. Now, granted, I shouldn't call him Danny Balls because it's one ball, singular. It's not plural, and it's important, So I guess we should probably call him Danny One Ball from now on. Although I don't know that that's true, and I don't think it's appropriate because I think Hitler had one ball, and I think comparing them together would excite him too much. So, but Danny Balls has better guests to deal with than me. He's landing some whales. Yeah. I mean, why would you want to debate somebody like me when you get the top-notch, effectively the modern spokesperson for MAGA, the poster child for maggot ethics. Dan Ball with George Santos. George announces run for Congress, and where else would he do it but on Dan One Ball's show? You know what I mean? Why would he go anywhere else?
And so I thought I would bring George on
Did you? You thought you were like, Ken Buck's going to retire, so fuck. I'll bring on George Santos because the Republican Party hasn't had a bad enough week.
To have his say, because he decided to throw his hat back in the ring. Now,
well, for the record, we don't know if it's his hat. He may have stolen it from an old lady in South America. Just saying.
Now running for New York.
Or even if it is a hat. I don't know that I'm willing to believe it's actually a hat.
York's 1st congressional district. So joining us for the first time, former Congressman George Santos on Real America. George?
Yeah, you look real excited to talk to him, dude.
George, thanks for coming on. Let me just get, let's clear the air.
Let's clear the air. I don't like gay people. And so
I know you had some concerns about doing this interview with me because you had heard through the grapevine
that I'm a douchebag who waves a gun around the office because a homeless person stumbled into the garage that poses as the OAN studio in San Diego, and everybody there thought I was an H&R threat, and I rage at people who don't even fucking work in my office.
That I had spoken ill will of you in the past.
Spoken ill will. Okay, spoken ill of someone or spoken with ill will. What the fuck do I know, though? It's not like I talk for a living.
And let me just say in layman's terms, you heard I was talking, right? I like to keep this show very real.
Yeah, but your network's still going to edit it. How real is that?
Okay.
You mean shit? You can't say shit on your show? They bleep out shit? You just want to swear for George's benefit. Okay.
So let me tell you what I said, then you can have your say, and then we'll get to what the hell's going on in the halls of Congress today.
I don't even like looking at your face.
I didn't approve of what you did to get where you got, and that's what I said. Okay? We all know politicians have lied about their education, their jobs, their religion. I mean, look at Joe. One day he's brought up in the black church, he's a truck driver, he's a heavy machine operator. We get it. They all frickin' lie. And so you didn't do it.
No. He's Catholic. He goes to Mass.
Anything different. You did it at a critical moment when the country's in trouble, and I disliked you for doing that. But with that said, I also said in your defense,
we have a razor-thin margin in the House, and I don't give a fuck who's in there. I'd vote for the devil himself if he'll gargle Trump's balls and vote whatever way he's told.
Thought it was asinine that the
Don't say that in front of George.
Republicans used you as an example when we have a razor-thin margin and booted you out.
Well, look at that. When use you as an example when we have it's not an example, motherfucker. He was off the fucking charts. You don't even know if that's not even his real fucking name. His real name's DeVolder.
Out for something you were never found guilty of yet to this day.
It's an ongoing case. He's been indicted.
Still have not been found guilty.
He will be before the election.
In a court of law. So that's what I said. We aired it out.
Well, look, Dan, let's put it this way. I understand a lot of people have feelings and they want to play the self-righteous halo on the top of their head type brand.
No. All right. This is always the sign of a weak argument. When I would, they say like make a straw man or a steel man of an argument. I think there has to be kind of like a Halo Man argument, although that sounds like a video game term, where you argue that nobody's perfect is the argument. And nobody's arguing about perfect. You're so fucking off the chart of perfect or even good or even functioning that bringing up perfect is a fucking cop-out because it lays it on the other person. It says to the person you're arguing with, when you're like, nobody's perfect, it says that person is asking of you unreasonable standards. Impossible even. When they aren't. Everybody else, for the most part, even the lying full of shit ones, somehow managed not to commit identity fraud in the process.
And the Republicans. Here's the reality. Democrats are at all-out war against this country and all the values and everything we stand for.
which would be, by the way, this what standard is it? Because honest to God, I'm not completely convinced you didn't enter whatever apartment you're in through a fucking window because you wanted that as your backdrop.
Right? Look,
no, not right.
Apologize. I've come clean on stupid acts I've made, and I stand here, and I've done this multiple times on national interviews, and I apologize profusely, time and time again, because.
Right, but apologizing isn't going to do it. You committed material fraud.
I think it is a never-ending cycle of.
Nope. Real easy way the cycle ends. When you're found guilty, you'll ultimately go to jail, more than likely, for the crimes you are alleged to have committed. And also, this cycle would end if you didn't keep arguing that you have the characteristics necessary to be a representative in our government of this country. If you think it's a great country, why would you want anyone even anywhere like you making decisions on behalf of the American people? Like,
of redemption for me. But here's the reality.
Redemption. Jesus Christ. Does everybody get, like, at one point it was 15 minutes of fame, and now everybody gets their fucking page 3 of People magazine story.
I never once, Dan, you can say whatever you want about me.
Go ahead, Dan.
Never once did I backtrack on a single policy position, on a single commitment that I made with my voters. I voted exactly how I said I would vote. I voted America first. I voted on Donald Trump's agenda. I am a MAGA Republican, and when people call me an extremist MAGA Republican, I say I am so proud to be one, because it is a badge of honor.
He loves it. Dan's rethinking this whole thing, and he's also thinking, I'd look good in that red sweater.
Honor. I rather die standing for something I truly believe in than to be a spineless rhino in Washington, D.C.
All right. I don't, you guys know, I have no interest in interjecting. When they attack each other, I'm only stopping to applaud it.
Like Nick LaLota, like Ken Buck, all these people who are in the way of a truly conservative agenda. So,
in the way? He just stepped down.
So, look,
he's leaving next week.
Ken Buck leaving now Speaker Johnson with 2 seats in the majority is just indicative of how self-destructive rhinos are for the party. We need to start weeding them out, and that's why I've thrown my hat into the ring on the neighboring district in NY1, because politics is a zero-sum game. I want to win. I don't want to go try my best efforts against Tom Suozzi, who's a household name. I work very hard.
You're a household name too. Right up there with toilet and compost and Dahmer.
To flip Republican, and now went right back into the hands of who held it for 6 years. So that seat's not going anywhere no time soon until Tom retires.
Anytime soon. No time soon. It's not. Never mind.
But you know what I can do? I can move into NY1 where LaLota represents.
Is this now the Republicans just kind of like moving around like fucking Pac-Man, just gobbling up the next district? He just saw what Boebert did and went, I'm basically Boebert, but like if she had short hair and a shellfish allergy.
And refuses to live in, I'll move there. Who doesn't want to live around the Hamptons? Are you kidding? You don't got to twist my arm.
Well, I'll tell you, you kind of just made your case for why people should trust you this round. That was going to be my next question.
What? He doesn't live there. He's moving there to run for a district he doesn't and hasn't lived in. What does he know about the fucking district? And seriously, other than there's money there and he knows it's a rich district, and if he could run it, he's guaranteed a certain amount of support from the Republican base there. If they're dumb enough to give him fucking money, which I can't imagine.
Question to you is, why should constituents trust a George Santos 2.0, right? A rebooted, a new version, who's come clean, who's a...
Because they don't give a fuck. It's not about trust. They don't need him to be anything. It's like Donald Trump was friends with fucking Epstein. You think these assholes care? They just want a bunch of heat-seeking missiles that will destroy the country.
Apologize, and I think you covered it, because if you look at your voting record, you said you have stuck to the America First positions in all of your votes, and you would continue if the voters of District 1 now will vote you in come November. That's what you're telling us.
Yeah, here's what I said the whole time. Please don't judge me for my past. We all have a past. Judge
Yeah, but we don't all have a past like you, dude.
Sure we do.
The work I do in the spot.
And I love how Dan just jumps in. Sure we do. Really, Dan? Why don't you tell us? What's your I mean, I've done stand-up about my past for years, so I'm pretty much an open book, but you jumped right in there. That seems interesting. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
And I think the work I delivered as a member of Congress to the best of my ability with all the limitations I had.
And the whole McCarthy thing, and was that America First, or was that Party First, or was that MTG First, or?
Were conservative. So much so that I had members of the Freedom Caucus oftenly say to me, holy crap, you vote way better than we could have ever even imagined or dreamt of.
Really? That's what they said? You know what? I trust him. If he says they said it, that's what they said. Right? I mean, of course they said it. Of course. And that's a direct quote. I'm just going to assume.
Guys, I was just in the chamber talking to the chairman, and Bob Good goes, oh my God, George, your record was quite stellar. We never quite grasped it until we absolutely saw the whole thing laid out. So the reality is I'm conservative.
We love you, George, because you're a follower.
I'm proud of this country. I love this country. I just want people to understand we all make mistakes.
Sorry, Andrea, what were you saying? There's a thing about Hubba Hubba. What's going on? Did I miss something in chat room? Shall we jump in there? Oh, Templeton posted it. Okay, hold on one second. Alina Habba appears to have been demoted. Former President Donald Trump's lawyers reached an agreement with E. Jean Carroll on Wednesday, extending a deadline in their defamation case. According to court filing, Carroll will have a deadline of March 26 to respond to Trump's motions for judgment regarding the ruling that he must pay $83.3 million to the former L columnist. Trump's deadline to submit a reply, and court stipulated agreed that Ms. Carroll's deadline for responding to Mr. Trump's motions for judgment is a matter of law and for new trial are extended to March 26. Mr. Trump, that's because they're going to write it up better so that he can't get out of it. Trump recently paid. Okay, what we know, Trump is involved in the key to nine. Views during a thing. What's next? Trump recently obtained through delegates. Hold on. Let's see. I'll look up in news. That's the only one I could find of it. News. I see this. Alina Habba's new $70,000 handbag fuels outrage. That's the story that came up first. Cite sloppiness. Georgia prosecutors did argue with the judge, but didn't forget to check off jury box. Fact check. Okay. The Alina Habba says Trump New York appeal. She did check the box that they didn't want one. Predicts extreme danger ahead for Alina Habba's career. Canada's job in election line chat. It's going to be a long game because they lost the short game. The money woes Donald Trump lawyer Alina Habba's husband has faced. That I didn't know about. That's fascinating. Let's just jump in here real quick. So what came up in this one was the other thing that came up first, and we'll end on this because these people are awful. Is this bit right here? Alina Habba's new $70,000 handbag fuels outrage. Oh, it's Christina Bobb? I see. Did she get fired or dropped or something? Anyways, I thought she's always bounced around. Yeah, Alina Habba's married, apparently. Let's see. Yeah, but Trump lawyer Alina Habba at Mar-a-Lago holding a $70,000 Hermes Croc Birkin bag. User PagerDix wrote alongside the image, which quickly went viral, racking up over 300,000 views. Newsweek has reached out to her for comment. 70. Yeah, that's the bag right there. Several users were stunned by the price. What could possibly make a handbag worth $70,000? Is there a small car inside? 1.5 of those bags would pay off my mortgage. Trump supporters actually paid for that bag. Rally goes there. Here's what I would argue. The more than likely, there's a very strong chance she got it free. or to carry around. Hermes, I don't care. In all seriousness, people like with a profile like hers will be given stuff like that just to walk around with it, just for this very reason. Like the value of this picture probably to them is worth it. Yeah. Or it's just a fucking Chinese knockoff, which is entirely possible. You're saying it's Christina Bobb. This is the meet Christina Bobb, the RNC's new election denying self-described conspiracy theorist. Oh, because she got a job at. They hired her. Okay. In-house senior. Oh, she's the new in-house senior counsel on at the RNC. Awesome. And see, I know some of you guys were worried, like, what happens if they hire somebody competent and gack up the works with somebody that will actually know what they're doing? And then, they'll file things and what they file will change. Like, I give a fuck. In all seriousness, I cannot, will not, I refuse to fucking worry about any situation where they put these ignorant dipshits in charge of stuff. Like, and again, this is the same thing that happened on January 6th. If any of these motherfuckers had 2 brain cells to rub together, we'd all be fucking speaking Trumpisms right now and trying to, like, in the Trump version of North Korea. But because they're all fuck-ups, losers, and morons, we're fine. And the more they put fuck-ups, losers, and morons in charge of shit, especially stuff that matters for their party for him to get reelected, for Republicans to get reelected, the more they do that shit, shit. Like, I guarantee every time something like this posts, that, like, at the DNC, they're like, fucking, you guys want to just go for lunch? We can call it a day. Our job is done here. Right? Let's see. Bob is correspondent during the 2020 election. Okay, so these are like quotes about her. Last night, the RNC's new MAGA leadership team doubled down on their commitment to undermining democracy by hiring election denier and self-described conspiracy theorist Christina Bobb as their new in-house senior counsel. Yeah, honest to God, they're doing this as a way of paying her bills. Trump owes her, or he's worried that she will become a witness because she signed off. She's one of the lawyers he bilked during the search warrant because she signed off that there were no classified documents there, and he lied to her, and she fell for it or whatever. But ultimately, maybe she dodged committing a crime, right? But he still owes her money, so they just gave her a position at the RNC so they could directly pay her RNC money. That way, like, they'll just call it quits with the money that he owes her, and she'll get it from the RNC. Without, I mean, she can bill hours she never did any work in. Please read the statement from Katie Britt. I need a Wesley in my... Read it? Oh, you mean her new, her written statement? Did she do a written statement afterwards? Yeah, I didn't see I need to find out what Wesley looks like. You know what I mean? We need to see if we can find because I feel like this is what Wesley looks like. Hi, hello. That's my wife. Yeah, that's my wife. Katie has a lot of very, very strong ideas. And she tends to raise her voice around the house, and it's okay. I mean, the important thing is that, if I, do my, what she calls my princely duties every day, I can stay in the clear. It should be fairly, easy, I guess. But, yeah, it's hard. Some people are saying Wesley is a giant football player. I don't feel like that's true. It might be, but I don't feel like it is. You know how sometimes you don't feel like it's true, but it kind of, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It's so hard to say.
Hey, I'm Wesley, and I would like to respond, if I could, to people who did not like Katie's statement the other night. Now, I can't speak to all of it because, quite frankly, most of the time I ignore her, and I think everybody, if they were smart, would just do that themselves. Just do it. So let me make a couple points, if I could. One, that story she told that wasn't true is totally true. Even the parts that aren't true are true. Okay? Let's just be abundantly clear. Also, there's nothing wrong with, my friends have told me for a long time that she fakes it, and I didn't want to believe it, but now America knows. Thanks, Andrea. Yeah. So real quick, before I grow a beard, I just want to say, you don't have to like what she said, believe what she said, or be able to hold down your lunch while she speaks to just do what I do. Just let her say it, and wait till she turns around, then roll your eyes. Okay? It's real fucking simple. I don't know why is that hard? Okay? It's the secret. I think it's in Republican circles is the secret to a great marriage more than anything else. Wait till they turn around, roll your eyes, and then it's even better if your buddy is there. Okay? Have a buddy over, have them watch the argument so they can know what a dumb bitch she is, and then when she turns around, do that, and do it like right before she turns around, and your buddy will crack up, bro. Crack the fuck up. I'm just saying. Okay, so obviously that believe all women stuff was bullshit. I would say, like, you could listen to most women, like, it's kind of like an 80-20 rule. Listen to 20% of them, and then the rest of them 80%. If you don't owe them any money, or they have anything over you in court, just the second they look at you, just whatever. Why don't you tell me about engines or something, lady? They love that. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. At all. As a matter of fact, I appreciate all the emails that I'm getting of dudes that say that they enjoyed it the other night, and they I don't know what "feel my pain" means, but I get it, So, anyways, good on you guys. Thanks so much. And she. By the way, good news though, her show has been picked up for a second season. Get Out the series. Season 2 launches in November on it's not Hulu. What is it? It's not Hulu. Who cares? That's right. Thank you guys so much. Talk to you later. Thanks for sticking around a little bit late. I know I went an hour over, but I didn't get to do a morning show, so love you guys. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. And take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And by the way, if you haven't yet, hit the like on your way out the door. Just, if you don't mind. Yes.
Heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will redo.
I know words. I had the best words. And anonymous, really anonymous. Criminal. Look, wait. Obama. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges.
Heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your.
The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defied the seat of dust. It's defiled, right? See, I can't see it very well. The diversity lottery, and God bless the United States.
Our army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports.
Made a pivotal, really, the Mueller report, I wish, covered the oranges, combat infantrymen.
You know, we just set another stock rocket. You saw that, right?
To be a sanctuary. 10,000 known or suspected gang members.
Would I approve waterboarding?
Yesterday's a hard word for me. You know, I told the U.S. Marshals to go get the man who killed another man. Very large brain. Despite these obstacles, Karen, sanctuary defied the seat of dust. It's defiled, right? I think I'm much more humble than you would understand. I know words, I had the best words. They sacrifice every day for the furniture, future.
We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple. I'm going to take such good care of women's health care issues, you won't even believe it.
Real bipartisan solutions.
No perverts.
What happened to the server? The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defied the seat of dust. It's defiled, right? See, I can't see it very well.
To me, Corona means Italy. When they gaze upon Yosemites,
they're not allowed to be offensive, unfortunately.
We're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President, Mike Pence, and his wonderful wife, Karen. Michigan gave us Motown, gave us the Mustang. We'll heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your.
Once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused, but we got it aroused.
Yosemites, wildlife refuges. I mean, you look at this, you look at what we do with our wildlife.
The sportos, the motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads, they all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.